Industrial and commercial electrical done right. This is Casey Hendrickson on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel, your breaking news and weather station.
Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Do want to thank our sponsor, R&B Car Company, locations in South Bend and Warsaw. R&B Car Company are your used car experts. Don't forget, you can find them online at rbcarcompany.com. Boy, is there a lot to discuss. For the record, I don't know why I said for the record. I'm going to give you a bit of advice as we start off here. Listen to Ted Cruz's podcast. You have to. It is imperative that you listen to this. The last episode where he had Senator Lindsey Graham on, basically Michael Knowles, who has a pretty popular podcast in and of himself, he works with or for Ben Shapiro over at the Daily Wire, and he has his own podcast, which is okay. Very informative. He's a little dry for my taste, but so is Ben, but they're very smart. And they are very well read, and they present their case very, very well. I tend to like, chair throwing and beer chugging and that sort of thing on my podcast, but that's just me. But they're both very smart. And Michael Knowles is basically the host of the Ted Cruz podcast. And then Ted Cruz comes on with him every episode. And they also brought in Lindsey Graham. They did the show after the vote, which happened at the end of the show on Friday, to not call witnesses, and they told us what happened. What an amazing bit of access to what was going on in that entire process, how they got Lamar Alexander and Lisa Murkowski to join them, because those are the two wild cards, why it was so important. And a lot of this we have been telling you. It was just interesting to hear the strategy behind it. For example, and I know everybody else has been telling you as well, Michael Bolton's, his so-called bombshell, not Michael Bolton, I did it again. John Bolton. Sorry, Michael. John Bolton, his so-called bombshell in the New York Times, which, by the way, has never been verified. The lawyers for Bolton say this is not an accurate representation of what he said. It is important that everybody kind of keep that in mind, but it wouldn't change anything. And that's, right out of the gate, that was something that I was telling you on social media when we heard about it and then on the show. It doesn't matter what Bolton alleges, because what he is alleging is not at all relevant to the case, nor would it change anything. Nor is what Bolton alleged, nor is that illegal. So you have to factor these things in. Again, you may not like it. All right, cool. You may not like it. If you take the New York Times' version of what they think Bolton put in his draft, even though they don't have the draft themselves, if you take their word for it and it's all truthful, even though it's not at this point in time, we don't have any confirmation of that. I'm just saying hypothetically, if what Bolton said is true and what is alleged he said about the president is true, not a crime, not impeachable, not relevant to the impeachment trial. We have been saying that from the very beginning. And in fact, this is on the Ted Cruz podcast. They go over this. And that was one of the ways that they were able to get Lamar Alexander and Lisa Murkowski to come aboard. And they actually drugged the president's legal team kicking and screaming down this path in getting them to play along with this. So Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham, two very good lawyers from different courts, they're going through this process. They wrote a lot of the questions, by the way, that other Republicans asked. And every single question was designed to do one thing: get Lamar Alexander and Lisa Murkowski to vote against witnesses. That's what it was. And here's the reason why. Not because of a cover-up or any other stupid nonsense like that. There is no cover-up because there's no crime here. But going after the Supreme Court if you get a 50-50 tie. And in fact, the reason that they think that they actually won this vote was Elizabeth Warren's partisan question of Justice Roberts. When she said that he was basically a partisan hack up there. Now, this is the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court is presiding over the impeachment trial. When she did that, not only did it elicit a reaction from him, but it also elicited a reaction from everybody. We documented a little bit of it on the show. I didn't focus on it. But people were upset. And there's a lot of senators who were upset. And those senators basically, the ones who were undecided on this, they said what that did when Elizabeth Warren made that question towards Roberts, and she submitted that, and basically accused him of being a partisan hack and working with the Republicans to cover up some crime or something of that nature. When she did that, what she did, keep in mind, she's a Harvard law professor. Not a very good legal move by a law professor. What she did is she showed that the impeachment process was political and had nothing to do with merits of the accusations against the president. And in fact, Ted Cruz and Lindsey Graham were saying, we believe that was one of the critical moments of all of this, that Elizabeth Warren is likely the person who sunk the impeachment trial for the Democrats, okay? Sunk it because she displayed open partisanship in her line of questioning, which was submitted to the Chief Justice. And as a result, all of these senators who were looking at this and trying to do their due diligence and actually be fair and open-minded about it, they saw it for what it was, even though all of us saw it for what it was. And Lisa Murkowski and Lamar Alexander probably should have seen it for what it was regardless. But it was an amazing thing. I'm only partway through the episode, and I'm telling you, the first 15 minutes of the episode, you are going to get all of the knowledge you ever needed about the impeachment trial. So I do highly recommend it. And then, you should really be subscribed to like 2 podcasts, mine and then Ted Cruz's. So nobody else's, just ours. No, I'm just kidding. But it was a very eye-opening experience because here I have two United States senators, one of whom I respect greatly, one of whom I no longer hate and am growing to appreciate more in Lindsey Graham. I've never been a fan of Lindsey Graham, but without McCain around, Lindsey Graham is coming into his own, I think. And I have tremendous respect for Ted Cruz. Even though I've mocked him and things like that and made fun of him, he was my guy for president. I hope he's president one day. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. I absolutely just genuinely like the man. So when I see or hear these 2 individuals break down what I have been telling you, and what I've been telling you is accurate, yes, it's a validation, but it's also, they can do it in a way that I can't because they're there and I'm not. And they're able to explain the nuances of why, when somebody said something specific, Adam Schiff made a critical error. And I told you, I ran down a list of several errors that he made throughout the impeachment trial, but he made a critical error on that last day. And he actually made an error about Bolton, which spurred Ted Cruz, he said, to get up, go to the cloakroom. Lindsey Graham went with him, and they were able to get a transcript of what Adam Schiff said. And they got it to Lamar Alexander and Lisa Murkowski because Adam Schiff made the case that quid pro quo, I am simplifying this for the sake of the audience, okay? That the quid pro quo essentially wouldn't even matter all that much, okay? So they went to the president's legal team and they said, look, we have to get you, this is the question, we have to get you on board with us asking if what Bolton is saying is true. Would it make a difference? And the president's team, of course, doesn't want to go there because they've accused Bolton of not telling the truth. Bolton's lawyers are saying that that's what the New York Times wrote was not true of the draft that he submitted. And they have this whole defense set up of, look, Bolton is not telling the truth about this, or the New York Times is not telling the truth about what Bolton says that the president said. And so to get the president's team on board, having established that what he's alleging didn't happen, to go to the hypothetical of if the president did actually say it, which puts them in a position to be accused of flip-flopping, right? If the president did say what Bolton allegedly says he said, would it make a difference? That was the question that won Lisa Murkowski and Lamar Alexander over in the vote on Friday afternoon. Because here's exactly what I've been telling you from the very beginning. What the New York Times says is in Bolton's draft of his book is completely and totally irrelevant to the case, nor would it be an impeachable offense on its own. So what they were able to do is they submitted that question, and then the president's legal team answered the question, again, from a legal perspective. If the president did do what he's been accused of doing by Bolton's draft, according to the New York Times, it would not matter It would not be an impeachable offense. It would not be a crime, and it wouldn't matter in this impeachment hearing at all. Now, why is that important? Well, that's important because it convinced Lisa Murkowski and Lamar Alexander that if it wouldn't make a difference to have Bolton testify, then we don't need him to testify. And if Bolton doesn't need to testify, there's nobody else out there who needs to testify because nobody else is going to bring anything new to the trial. So it got Lamar Alexander, and it got Lamar Alexander, and it got Lisa Murkowski to say, no, we don't need witnesses. And that's what ended up happening. And their insights on why they were going for a 50-50 tie so they could go after Chief Justice Roberts and make this political was very scary, actually, to be perfectly honest with you. But what an amazing podcast and insight on what happened on Friday. Now, the title of this live stream, if you're watching it on video, is that the whistleblower is going to testify. But he's not going to testify at the impeachment trial. We'll talk about that coming up on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News.
Your breaking news and weather station.
Okay. So they heard you clear your throat.
Got you.
Your home comfort experts, heating specialists, 5-day forecast.
So Trump made a flub, kind of.
Yeah.
Really.
It was on the Discord server earlier. People were asking me about it. And the thing is that people in Kansas City, it's not a thing for them. It's just not.
Technically, the stadium's in Missouri, so they're Missouri.
Technically, they're in Missouri. And technically,
no one cares.
technically it exists as two separate cities because there's a Kansas council and a Missouri council, but they're the same city. So yeah, it's we were discussing that on Discord earlier. Somebody was asking about it. So does anybody know what time he made the announcement? Trying to figure out. So I'd like to play it. Maybe Mediaite has it. Can you keep my audio, please?
Rushland for the EIB Network. Ladies and gentlemen, this day has been one of the things about me that I know that has happened over the 31 plus years of this program is that there has been an incredible bond. And I didn't have to not tell anybody. I thought about trying to.
All right, I got it.
Come back, Rushland. Come back, Rushland. Come back, Rushland.
Thank you, Paul. Mediaite had it. So technically, Kathy, from a legal perspective, because it's in two different states, there's two different cities, but it's the same city. So there is a city council that handles what happens on the Kansas side of the border and a council that handles what happens on the Missouri side of the border, but it is the same city. So generally, it's the Kansas City metro area is what it is, okay? No, I was just trying to get an idea of how the controls are going to work when I played it on air, that's all. Yeah, I've got a lot of Chiefs fans in my friend base there. It was a good game. Chiefs did exactly what they've been doing through the playoffs, from what I understand. I haven't watched a single playoff game. They came from behind, and the commercials were horrible. They were just normal commercials. There wasn't Super Bowl commercials. It was just. Although the Trump ad, we'll talk about that a little later on, is hysterical because boy, is that triggered. Well, I guess he had 2 ads, but I saw one of them.
I didn't really watch. I only watched this.
Oh, okay. No, he had one like right at the beginning.
And now you can boost your nitric oxide production faster than you thought possible with ageless male tonight. The absurd fast formula.
It'll be interesting to see what people post about Rush Limbaugh today.
One capsule an hour before romantic activity. You'll get clinically
Because there will definitely be people who post that they are happy
and it won't
about what he announced. So.
Rush to Walmart and get ageless male tonight. Tax time is tax time.
Michiana's Morning News.
Your top stories, traffic and weather. Weekday mornings 5 till 9 on 95.3 MNC.
Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. If you missed Rush Limbaugh's big announcement today, we're going to replay that at 3:30. Okay? When we come back from Fox News, we will replay Rush Limbaugh's announcement in its entirety. I usually don't play 7.5-minute audio, but I felt that this one was important enough for us to play, so we'll do that again coming up at 3:35. If you missed his announcement today, it is a major announcement to say the least. We'll have that at 3:35. In the meantime, I'm talking about what is happening with the impeachment trial. They're doing closing arguments and stuff like that today. But it was interesting. I just wanted to start off with, you need to listen to Ted Cruz's podcast because the insight of how the vote happened on Friday honestly, it's very, very interesting, really. If you are at all interested in learning more about this process and how it went the way that it went, why it went the way that it went, and why certain people voted certain ways, and why some questions were asked, and why not calling witnesses was so important, then you can certainly get all of that information just in listening to the last episode, which happened on Friday evening. And again, it's just been phenomenal insight with this entire process. Now, with that said, those of you who are watching on YouTube and Twitch at Casey the Host, instead of just listening on the radio or the live stream, the title of the stream is that the whistleblower is going to testify. But the whistleblower is not going to testify at the impeachment trial. The whistleblower is going to testify in the Senate Intelligence Committee, at least according to Lindsey Graham. Now, this is in the Washington Examiner. Lindsey Graham, the Senate Intelligence Committee will call the Ukraine whistleblower. Now, of course, the whistleblower is Eric Ciaramella. Last week, I went over all of the legal reasons why he is not entitled to anonymity. It does not exist, okay? Anybody who still maintains that he is supposed to have anonymity is either lying to you or really, really, really lazy and not at all making an attempt to look this up. Let me tell you how lazy some people are. I'm going to give you an example. When I think it was Thursday that I did my thread on this, where I pointed out the actual clause, which is the Whistleblower Protection Act of 1998, okay? I actually pointed that out, where it specifically says that the ICIG is the only party that has to maintain anonymity to protect against any retribution from the chain of command of whoever the whistleblower ends up being, okay? And it's purely to protect them from professional retribution. So demotion, firing, pay cuts, that sort of stuff. It has nothing to do with protecting them because they think the president of the United States is going to kill them or whatever it is, which is the nonsense that some people have tried to make with Eric Ciaramella. Now, I went over the actual law of that, and I've done that on the show, but I did this on social media with screenshots. And I also pulled experts from NPR and the Washington Post, including the former executive director of the whistleblower program. Now, this is an individual who knows more about whatever protections there is for a whistleblower than anybody else who has not held that position, okay? And that individual made crystal clear, Dewey, made crystal clear that you are not entitled to any anonymity protections. Furthermore, I pulled the former director of the CIA. Then I pulled former intelligence officials with President Obama. And I did this multiple times, and I just screenshot all of their quotes on how the whistleblower is not entitled to these protections. Zero, okay? And I posted them. And I told everybody, this is from NPR, and I took a screenshot of the title of the article. This is from the Washington Post, did the same thing. And do you know what I got? This is how lazy people are. This is where I keep telling you, if people would put a fraction of the energy and effort into doing their research that they do into fighting on social media, they would be much more informed and the world would be a much better place. Instead of this immediate, visceral outrage that people have from some post. Now, this is just the nature of who I am because of what I do for a living. I think when I see somebody post something, I go, that seems weird. Let me look it up. The average person doesn't do that. The average person goes either no or yes, and they just go, right? They don't have any facts. They just go. And it's funny because Alex is on the live stream right now. He's always on the live stream, but he was getting into it with some really, really brain-dead idiots on Twitter that evening. It's called the Whistleblower Protection Act, which is hysterical because in the thread that they're commenting on, I actually quote the former executive of the whistleblower program who says it is the worst named law in the history of Congress. Because it doesn't provide protections for whistleblowers. But again, their whole perspective is, well, it's called that, isn't it? None of them bothered to look up what I said. But I had one person who commented on my screenshot of the NPR article, which had the author and the title of the article. And I told them who the individuals were. You could see the quotes and who published the article, which was NPR at the time. And they said, it's interesting you didn't post any links to these articles, basically accusing me of lying, which, Joe, how long does it take to find something if somebody puts a screenshot of the article on there and tells you the source? All you got to do is NPR title of the article. It's the first thing that's going to pop up. The first thing that will pop up. But here's the thing. Instead of going to Google and typing the title, instead of doing that, which would have brought them the article, they posted a diatribe against me. Didn't even bother to verify what I was saying was true, even though it had screenshots of the article with them. What do you think I was doing? Photoshopping all of them? I mean, there are people, I suppose, that do that. Okay. But what would they do if it looked Photoshopped? They would have gone through an entire process, hours-long process to debunk the Photoshop. But they could not spend 10 seconds doing an internet search for the thing that I told them. Not only did I give them the name of it, who was responsible for it, and who published it. They couldn't do it. They chose to attack me instead. Weird, right? But that's the world we live in. So anyway, Washington Examiner. The Senate Intelligence Committee plans to call the whistleblower whose complaint was the impetus for the impeachment proceedings against President Trump, according to Lindsey Graham. With impeachment headed to a likely acquittal next week, Senator Lindsey Graham described on Sunday how Republicans in the chamber are geared up for investigations on three fronts. The Senate Intel Committee under Richard Burr has told us that they will call the whistleblower. That's what he told Fox News Sunday morning. Now, let's see. I want to understand how all of this crap started, he said. For the record, Lindsey Graham uses the word bleep hole quite a bit in the Ted Cruz podcast. Just, he's apparently got a salty mouth. The impeachment effort began to take root with the emergence last year of a whistleblower complaint raising concerns about a July phone call, yada, 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 yada. If the whistleblower is a former employee associate of Joe Biden, I think that would be important. If the whistleblower was working with people on Schiff's staff that wanted to take Trump down a year and a half ago, I think that would be important. If the Schiff staff people helped write the complaint, that would be important. We're going to get to the bottom of all of this to make sure this never happens again. That is Lindsey Graham. Now, this is important because the alleged whistleblower, Eric Ciaramella, worked with Joe Biden going back to at least 2015. We know that he was working with several other Democrats. We know that he was a partisan Democrat. So if you're going to say the president can't investigate corruption, a constitutionally mandated authority that he has of Americans, including politicians, that he can't do that because it's political reasons, then what is a whistleblower complaint from somebody who worked with Joe Biden? Wouldn't that be the same thing? Especially since they did not even have firsthand knowledge of it. So this is going to be very, very interesting to say the least. This whole process is not done. And again, closing arguments are happening now. We heard that the hope is that this impeachment trial ends Wednesday. All right, that's the latest that we have. It could go longer than that. But the latest that we have is that they're hoping to put it to an end on Wednesday after closing arguments are done today and tomorrow. So that's where we're at. But then the Senate Intelligence Committee looks to call the whistleblower. All right, we're going to go ahead and replay Rush Limbaugh's big announcement today. If you missed it, if you didn't hear it on Rush Limbaugh's show, you don't want to miss this. This is a big one. We're going to play that here next after news right here on 95.3 MNC.
This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station. MNC. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Whew. All right.
Yellow. Oh, okay. John's barely coming down looking for something and
Oh, okay.
also, Tommy's phone sucks. Very hard to hear him.
An Elkhart police officer was driving south on Sterling Avenue shortly before 1 o'clock in the morning Friday when he saw a vehicle in the oncoming lane with blinding high beams impairing his vision. The Elkhart Truth reports 48-year-old Michael Mott allegedly admitted his license was suspended. He got out of the vehicle and allowed a search. Officers found a digital scale with white residue and more than $400 in cash in his pockets. Mott faces dealing methamphetamine and cocaine charges. He's also charged with possession of a firearm by a seriously violent felon. Darren Wright, MNC News.
Closing arguments have wrapped up in the Senate impeachment trial of President Trump. Lead House Manager Adam Schiff today referred you in the face of overwhelming
All right.
guilt. And knowing that if left in office, he will continue to seek foreign interference in the next election. The vote to convict on both articles of impeachment. Republican is expected to acquit the president.
Yeah, Tracy, I'm sure there's a bunch of people celebrating it. I'm sure. Yeah. Mitt Romney was uninvited from CPAC. What a difference 3 years makes, huh?
America is listening to Fox News. Winners sponsored by
Table Kids. If you need an awesome breakfast, head over to the Prime Table. Breakfast served all day.
your home comfort experts, heating specialists, first warning forecast.
Closer to increases the rest of the afternoon with daytime highs topping out near 50 degrees. At the end of tonight, we drop down to 33. Tuesday, a little bit of rain does move on in, with that turning briefly over to a wintry mix. The daytime high of only 36 degrees.
Oh, man. I just spilled energy drink all over my face.
Nice.
I'm that guy. On camera.
Coronavirus continue to weigh on the markets. This is Who's Your Ag today's Monday closing farm market report.
Take care, Tracy.
By IOM Grain. If you raise non-GMO soybeans and need a higher premium, IOM Grain works closely with seed companies to find the best yielding non-GMO genetics. Learn more at iomgrain.com. We finished with Green Ink in this week and torn down a couple.
Yeah, Alex Soros is not Eric Charmella, though they do look very similar.
July corn 389.5, a penny and a half lower. Up 4.5 at the close on March. Beans 877. May 890 and 3/4, 4 cents higher. March wheat turned around 555.5, up a penny and 3/4. Lower livestock earlier in the day turned around. The live cattle 120.72, up $1.05. April lean hogs 62.72, up 112. I'm Andy Eubank. Who's Your Ag today? Indiana's Farm Network.
I still hate my picture being taken. Absolutely hate it. Don't like being on camera either.
The major outages are higher in the final hour of trading and shaking off concerns about the coronavirus that caused a sharp sell-off last week. And shares of ExxonMobil are falling to the lowest prices seen in a decade. This after a Goldman Sachs analyst said it was time to sell the oil giant due to concerns that the company is on track to come up well short.
Let's see if we have a texting service again. What's the over-under here?
Federal antitrust regulators say a proposed merger that would combine old-school shaving company Schick with upstart Harry's would end up costing consumers some skin. The Federal Trade Commission is suing to block
Schick is gonna try and take over Harry's.
acquisition of Harry's, which was supposed to be finalized this
$3 billion acquisition? Oh my God. Wow. They're looking to block it.
Yeah.
No messages. Nothing works.
It makes me sad because I really like their razors. If they go up in price, I'm going to be fat pissed.
Well, she just said they were. With that acquisition, they would go up. But if you're a stockholder in Harry's, you kidding me? The guy was already rich, but now he's going to be probably a billionaire.
FORHIMS.com/joy. FORHIMS.com/joy.
Oh. I used to be photogenic back when I was a model. Back in the old days. I'm photogenic-ish if I have a beard. I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I probably shouldn't say that if you're a shareholder.
Say what?
If Harry's is even a public company.
Hi, I'm Chris Kramer from C. Kramer.
Well, Investpedia has them on there, so. Yeah, they have an IPO. Andy Katz Mayfield and Jeff Rader in 2013. So Jeff Rader apparently owns. Oh, they own its own. Okay, collectively they own their own factory in Germany.
Mm-hmm. We are not a commission-based company, so when someone comes in, we're not trying to you need to buy this because I need to make my commissions every month or for the week. We actually are more interested in helping you find what is right. I would rather somebody leave than to buy something they're not happy with, or feel that they would pressure you to buy something they didn't need or want. Come to see Kramer Interiors on University Drive next to Temper Grill, 8 o'clock.
They have 2 million repeat customers.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, you get Harry's? You're a subscriber. I mean, plus you can get them in the store.
Yeah, I get their stuff in the store, because that's just easier to do. But they're really
Just Wednesday, so in city limits. Clean, high-tech location.
I wouldn't have sold. I don't feel like.
So it was found. I
get why.
No, that's the wrong company. I mean, dude, somebody dangles $3 billion in your face.
I know.
I mean, what the hell do you still own a friggin'? I mean, unless they're taking over the factory, you still own a razor factory. They might be taking over the factory, but I mean, holy mother of. Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Can you cue my audio, please? If you missed it today, right here on 95.3 MNC, Rush Limbaugh had a major announcement on his radio program right before the end of his show. I don't need to tell you what happened. What I should do is just play you the entire thing. So this is what happened on Rush Limbaugh's show here on 95.3 MNC today.
IB Network. Ladies and gentlemen, this day has been one of the most difficult days in recent memory for me, because I've known this moment was coming in the program today. Now, I'm sure that you all know by now, I really don't like talking about myself. And I don't like making things about me other than in the usual
satirical, parodic, joking way. I like this program to be about you and the things that matter to all of us. The one thing that I know that has happened over the 31 plus years of this program is that there has been an incredible bond that has developed between all of you and me. Now, this program's 31 years old, and in that 31, there are people, you hear them call all the time. They've been listening the whole time. They've been listening 30 years or 25 years. Just had somebody say they've been here 3 years. But whatever, it is a family-type relationship to me. And I've mentioned to you that this program is, and this job is what has provided me the greatest satisfaction and happiness that I've ever experienced, more than I ever thought that I would experience. So I have to tell you something today that I wish I didn't have to tell you. And it's a struggle for me because I had to inform my staff earlier today. I can't escape, even though people are telling me it's not the way to look at it. I can't help but feel that I'm letting everybody down with this. But the upshot is that I have been diagnosed with advanced lung cancer. Diagnosis confirmed by 2 medical institutions back on January 20th. First realized something was wrong on my birthday weekend, January 12th. And I wish I didn't have to tell you this. And I thought about not telling anybody. I thought about trying to do this without anybody knowing, because I don't like making things about me. But there are going to be days that I'm not going to be able to be here because I'm undergoing treatment or I'm reacting to treatment. And I know that would inspire all kinds of curiosity with people wondering what's going on. And the worst thing that can happen is when there is something going on and you try to hide it and cover it up, it's eventually going to leak, and then people are going to, why didn't you just say it? Why'd you try to fool everybody? And it's not that I want to fool anybody. It's just that I don't want to burden anybody with it, and I haven't wanted to. But it is what it is. And you know me, I'm the mayor of Realville. So this has happened, and my intention is to come here every day I can and to do this program as normally and as competently and as expertly as I do each and every day, because that is the source of my greatest satisfaction professionally, personally. I've had so much support from family and friends during this that it's been tremendous. And I told the staff today that I have a deeply personal relationship with God that I do not proselytize about. But I do, and I have been working that relationship tremendously, which I do regularly anyway, but I've been focused on it intensely for the past couple of weeks. I know there are many of you in this audience who have experienced this, who are going through it yourselves at the same time. I am, at the moment, experiencing zero symptoms other than, I don't want to get too detailed in this, what led to the shortness of breath that I thought might have been asthma or, I'm 69, could have been my heart. My heart's in great shape, ticking away fine, squeezing and pumping great. It was not that. It was a pulmonary problem involving malignancy. So I'm going to be gone the next couple of days as we figure out the treatment course of action and have further testing done. But as I said, I'm going to be here as often as I can. And as is the case with everybody who finds themselves in this circumstance, you just want to push ahead and try to keep everything as normal as you can, which is something that I'm going to try to do. But felt that I had to tell you, because that's the kind of relationship I feel like I have with those of you in this audience. And I say it every Christmas, which is when I feel more thankful than at Thanksgiving. And I feel thankful at Thanksgiving, but Christmas, it really gets to me. But over the years, a lot of people have been very nice, telling me how much this program has meant to them. But whatever that is, it pales in comparison to what you all have meant to me. And I can't describe this, but I know you're there every day. I can see you. It's strange but I know you're there. I know you're there in great numbers. And I know that you understand everything I say. The rest of the world may not when they hear it expressed a different way, but I know that you do. You've been one of the greatest sources of confidence that I've had in my life. So I hope I will be talking about this as little as necessary in the coming days. But we've got a great bunch of doctors, a great team assembled. We're at full speed ahead on this. And it's just now a matter of implementing what we are going to be told later this week. So I'll be back here. I hope you're back.
All right. We wish Rush Limbaugh all the best. We got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel.
Your breaking news and weather station.
Weather.
Served up by the Crime Table in Niles. 26 years of exceptional food, tremendous service, and great people. Visit Crime Table today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Your home comfort experts.
Tony Snow, who also was the press secretary.
A low of 33 with overall cloudy skies. And then for Tuesday, a little rain starts to move in during the morning hours, all very light, and that briefly turns over to winter mix during the afternoon. The daytime highs topping out at 36 degrees.
All right.
32. You have a chance for some light snow showers overnight. And Thursday, it's back to mostly cloudy to partly cloudy skies. Temperature once again remaining right around 32. On Friday, though, we warm back up to 34 by a couple degrees at least, with mostly cloudy skies in our forecast. Today, ABC with the 7th, First Morning Neighborhood Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Linda Katie.
95.3 MNC Weather Text Alerts. Customized and faster than ever. To stay connected, text weather to 45364. Do it right now. Pick the counties you care about and get word of severe.
What's up, bros?
Michiana's News Channel. Would you like to talk to Casey?
All right. Don't forget, like and subscribe.
You want to take callers on it?
I don't think I'd be a jerk about it.
I was talking to Casey. Sorry.
So you're gonna be a jerk about it? Yeah, I'll take calls on it. That's
All right.
fine.
Can I get your first name, please? All right. I'll try to get you on that. No idea if he's going to be. I'm not going to ask them, hey, you going to be a jerk? So they're going to be like, no. I'm like, okay.
We'll just delete them. It's funny that Happy used the word ergo because Rush Limbaugh, true factoid, Rush Limbaugh was fired once for saying ergo too much. I'm sure they'll tie it to the cigar smoke. Whether or not it actually is because of the cigar smoke, I don't know.
And earn 5 times the national average. Baking with Capital One means 5 times the savings to help pay for your perfect honeymoon.
Could be radon.
Or 5 times the savings toward your family's perfect vacation. It's time to help make your savings goals come true. This is Banking Reimagined. Capital One. What's in your wallet? Terms of Guys, secret is out. You want healthy intimacy. Your body needs nitric oxide. And now you can boost your nitric oxide production faster than you thought possible with Ageless Male Tonight, the absurdly fast formula from the #1 brand in male enhancement. Just take 1 capsule an hour before romantic activity. You'll get clinically tested ingredients that rapidly boost nitric oxide production, and it won't go unnoticed. Rush to Walmart and get Ageless Male Tonight.
When those giant scissors come out for a grand opening ceremony, it's the staff that's in the photo. Behind the scenes of any office or industrial build are numerous contractors tirelessly taking dreams from drawing board to reality.
That's awesome, Tim. Good luck. Let me know how it works. The vape that I've been using has been really good, so I've been very happy with it. I have no idea, man. They just I have no idea what radon is or how it works or where it is or any of that. They just keep coming up with new things that new boogeymen that are doing the things that old boogeymen who are basically eradicated do. So, I mean, who knows?
Rudy's from all over Michiana are finding the trip to Napanee to experience Route 150 well worth the trip.
He just said it too much. Apparently, this is like he's told the story a couple of times that he said ergo too much and he lost the job as a result. allnaturalcbd.org. Here, I'll just put it in the put it in here. You can also get it at any local e-cig works. When has that ever stopped anybody, though, Speed? All right. Oh, here we go.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. By the way, you want to watch the live stream, you can go to youtube.com/Casey the host. That's CASEY. You can also go to twitch.tv/Casey the host. And if you would, please hit that like button and the subscribe button. If you want notifications live or upload new videos, click on that bell icon and select all notifications, please. To the phone lines we go. Paul, welcome to the program.
Hi, Casey. Let me take you out speaker call.
What's up?
Okay. Hey, just, boy, I dreaded this day and dreaded this day. Boy, I hope you can fight it. My wife's fighting it, too. So, yeah, it's going to be a sad day when he goes, but hopefully he still has years ahead. I know cancer, even though if you do beat it, that lung cancer has a tendency to come back on you.
Yeah.
So it's something he's going to fight for the rest of his life, I know, by experience.
And yeah, I lost my grandpa to it, and I know that there's a lot of people out there, and your wife, you said, was going through it as well. And I mean, wish you the best. I mean, it's not fun.
Thank you.
It's I wish him the best, but again, depending on what treatment he's doing and how it's going to affect him, I would expect that he's probably going to be gone quite a bit.
Yeah.
And
well, he said advanced, right? So
he said advanced, yeah. So he's
Yeah.
he's definitely gonna be gone quite a bit. I know the next couple of days are gonna go over some treatment options with him, and then he'll make his decision on what he's going to do. And all you can do is hope for the best and pray for the best. Same with everybody else who's fighting, including your wife.
Yeah, I feel like he's my brother. I've listened to him since 1988. And, if it gets the best of him, I will cry.
Yeah.
I feel like he's my brother.
I hear you.
I've gotten to be that way kind of with you also. You're a real blessing for the area here.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's high praise. And honestly, we're pulling for your wife as well. All the best with that.
Yep. Thanks,
All right,
Casey.
you take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
It's a tough day. We've all kind of, those of us who are in the industry, we kind of know when Rush takes time off, and he'll take time off if it's a really bad cold or the flu or something of that nature. But this hasn't been in his usual time off schedule, so it's been a little strange. And I think some of us just thought that he was maybe just battling one of these flus that are going around. They've got that really bad 48-hour one that's happening. They've got the really bad 5-day thing that was happening, and we thought maybe he was dealing with that. And so, the announcement today just kind of came out of left field. And it's a little interesting. I haven't looked, and nor do I want to. But it's a little interesting that last week we were talking about how people react when people on the other political side, get sick or pass away or even get shot in the case of the congressional baseball field shooting and things of that nature. I am sure that there is going to be a lot of hate thrown Rush Limbaugh's way. And what I would encourage you to do is not combat that with the same type of hate, but in reverse. What I would encourage you to do is remember how those types of people treat somebody and conduct yourself in the exact opposite way. I know that there is an instinct to defend, and I appreciate that. I'm sure that Rush appreciates that, but he is a man of faith, and he doesn't talk about that a lot on his show. He really doesn't, but he is. And this is not, I don't think that he would want his people to go out there and be as mean-spirited as the people who don't like him will inevitably be on social media. And I hope that I am pleasantly surprised, but I have doubts. We've got a lot more coming up. News Talk 95.3.
WTRC FM.
And HD1 and HD3.
Niles, South Bend, Elkhart.
I know. I know I won't be surprised. I wish I were. Truly wish that I were going to be surprised, but I know that I won't. All right. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick little time out. I'll be right back, and we'll keep going with the show.
Senators will have 2 days to speak on the Senate floor to explain their votes, and several have not yet said how they'll vote, including Republican Senators Susan Collins of Maine, Mitt Romney of Utah, and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska.
John, a vote is expected Wednesday, the day after the State of the Union address. The U.S. has more cases of the new virus that's been spreading quickly in China.
5 more Americans are sick with coronavirus, while 4 of them recently traveled to China, 1 to Fox.
One patient in California is a close household contact of another patient in California. This is the second case that unfortunately
Dr. Nancy Messonnier of U.S. Centers for Disease Control, she asked the agency to share on its test for the virus with labs in each state to further testing. Evan Brown, Fox News.
Talk show host Rush Limbaugh just announcing he's been diagnosed with advanced lung cancer. The man, 69, plans to keep working as much as possible during treatment. Stocks finished higher, the Dow up 143 at the bell. America is listening. Fox News.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel, and 95.3 MNC.com.
I'm Tom Lee, the MNC News Center. And among this afternoon's top stories, Michigan State Police are asking for your help as they work to identify a man including a grocery store employee with a gun. This happened Saturday at the Midway Grocery near M51 and 92nd Avenue in Van Buren County. The suspect was described as Hispanic and wearing a dark hooded jacket, gray gloves, and a light-colored bandana. If you have any information, you should contact the Michigan State Police. From Michiana's election headquarters, it turns out that the Hoosier State has the 10th worst voter turnout in the nation.
That's according to a report from World Population Review, saying that out of 4.8 million registered voters, only 2.7 million, or just over 56%, voted in the 2016 election. Survey viewers say the biggest obstacle is convincing people that their votes actually do matter. You can check your voter registration status.
Now, you know what? Hold on. What?
A single vehicle crash outside the Ranger restaurant on Sunday totaled the car and caused more damage. Police said it happened at the intersection of State Road 23 and Washington's Way outside of yesterday's Food and Spirits. The crash took out a restaurant sign and some power lines in the area. Maintenance crews were called in and injuries were reported. Meanwhile, a two-vehicle crash in Marshall County injured 5 people on Saturday. The County Police Department says it happened around 2:30 p.m. near County Roads 8 and 17 in Culver. 2 women in a car were taken to a hospital with minor injuries. The passenger was trapped in the vehicle after the crash. 3 people in another vehicle, a pickup truck, were also taken.
Remember that conversation we had about me being petty?
Yes.
Okay. Don't take my business cards out of my business card holder and put yours in the holder. Right? Now, am I justified in being petty about that? Because this is the 3rd time it's happened. Somebody actually took my cards out. Now, keep in mind, I made both of these holders. Okay, I printed them. So I took my cards out, put them in the other holder with my other cards, turned them vertical. So now both of my cards are vertical in one holder. And then just took over the other holder. Which, of course, I always fix this problem. So, my God. What I should do is I should just throw their business cards away. Should just throw them away. Yes, I am what? Am I overreacting to it? I made them. They're mine. Don't take my cards out. Get your own damn business card holder. DoorDash.
DoorDashes have been on the table forever. What do you mean they were in your card holder?
They were in my card holder.
They've been on the table for like 3 weeks.
They were in my card holder just now. My cards were turned vertical into one holder, and then they took over the other holder. I don't know if DoorDash did it or somebody else did it. I don't really care. But consistently, not overreacting, consistently, this is like the 3rd time that this has happened. It's not just with DoorDash, it's with other people too. And I keep taking everybody's cards out and putting them, but I leave them there. I'm going to start throwing them away. Because, man, that drives me nuts. And I know it's petty. I know it. It's a little thing, but it's like, you know. That sounds like a phoner topic. Maybe I'll do that instead of talking about mittens.
Trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter.
Good old mittens.
Actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of pay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack. See why 4 out of 5.
Oh God, comment! I saw that post. Ilhan Omar. We ever had an impeached president give a State of the Union address? Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
This is Casey Hendrickson on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel, your breaking news and weather station.
True story. I literally was in Final Phase Electric right before I came over here. True story. I was checking out the facilities with Brian and the ladies over there. All right, 574-2595, 95.3. That is 2595953. Can I ask you a question? Because I feel like we were just talking about this, and I feel like this might need a broader audience reaction. Am I overreacting? So when you come into the building, there's a little place in the waiting area. So we've got a couple of chairs there, when people come in, guests or whatever, they can sit in the chair and they can wait. And we have like a little business card flyer table, so you can put your business cards, your flyers up there. Well, I have my business cards up there, and then I have my company's business cards up there. And they're both in card holders that I 3D printed myself. And this is the third time in as many weeks, and I don't know if somebody in the building is trolling me or if it's the individuals who are bringing in these new cards. My cards are taken out of one of my holders that I made, and then somebody replaces my cards with their cards. And it just irritates me to the moon. So now I'm at the point where, so what had just happened recently, I'm not going to tell you who it is, but what had just happened recently is so I've got two business card holders, one for my show, one for my business. And what happened is they turned my cards vertical. So they're standing straight up. And then they took the other cards out and put them next to them standing straight up and then took over my business card holder. Like I said, this keeps happening to me because I don't even know if there's other business card holders on the table or if those are the only two. I think those might be the only two. So everybody's like fighting for space. I'll make you a business card holder. I've got a whole bag of business card holders literally right on the business card holders. Literally, I have dozens of business card holders right here. Okay, so if you're in the building and you need a business card holder, do it. These are throwaway business card holders that were supposed to clip onto the top of the cubicle frame, but they're just a itsy bit too small, so they don't actually clip on. So they just sit on your desk. They totally function and they work. You can have one for free. So I feel like maybe I'm going to tape that there with a little sign, passive aggressive. Leave my cards alone and have a free business card holder, like one of those. I feel like I'm overreacting here. But should I, because I take their cards out, I place them on the table so you can still see their cards, and then I put my cards back where they're supposed to be, and I straighten the whole area up. I'm at a point now where I'm just going to throw their business cards away. All of them. So they're all going to be gone. Whomever takes over my business card holder in the table, in the front, in the lobby, is just going to get trashed. Now, am I overreacting if I do that? Joe is uncomfortable giving me a full answer here. The audience keeps telling me, yes, I should throw them away. But the audience is also squarely in the hoard mindset, okay, which I appreciate. I love that you will follow me to the depths of depravity. But am I overreacting? Should I be throwing people's business cards away if they're stealing my business card holder? Because it's just, I know it's a small thing. That's just it. I know it's a small thing, and I know it shouldn't irritate me that much, but it does. And that's what bothers me. So I'm going to get to the point, glue the business card holder down. Well, glue the business cards down. Well, I want people to take the business cards. And people on the live stream are telling me to glue them. But I want people to be able to take them. That's the whole point. Joe won't answer. That's how we know that he did it. So was it you? You the one replacing the business cards?
Yes, because I have business cards for my various businesses that I have.
Well, no, but maybe you're taking somebody else's business cards.
No, I have no need for business cards. I can Google things.
For the record, because this question came up on the live stream, the audience also doesn't have to face the person whose business cards you're throwing away. First of all, I don't care about any of that. Nobody in the building scares me. But it's not somebody from in the building. It's an outsider. So it's an outsider who walks in and then just puts business cards down. Or there's somebody in the building taking somebody else's cards and then replacing them because they're trying to play a prank on me. Regardless, it doesn't really matter much to me. I'm just going to throw everybody's business cards away. And at the end of the day, if the worst thing that happens to me is my business cards disappear and my card holders disappear, so what? I can always make more. So it's really not a big deal. Although that is a very nice bronze filament. So it's got a nice metallic sheen to it and everything. I mean, it is a nice filament, but just those little things, right, they bother me so much. All right, so speaking of little things that bother me, Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney has been disinvited from CPAC, the annual conservative political action conference, which is hysterical. Now, I want to remind everybody, because every year that CPAC happens, and multiple people in the live stream are telling me to toss them. So, Joe, apparently this is what I do. I don't ask permission, folks. I just throw people's stuff away. That's what I do. Because, again, this is this is the equivalent to me throwing a chair again. So anyway, the Conservative Leadership and Political Action Conference. Now, a few years ago, they hated Donald Trump. They were attacking him. It was basically one speaker after another attacking Donald Trump. And I think that was the year that Michelle Malkin throat punched everybody in the building. I'm pretty sure, with that amazing speech, which I played in its entirety on the show. And suddenly, everybody loves Trump at CPAC, and his critics are getting the cold shoulder. Now, I find this to be wonderfully entertaining. First of all, I'm appreciative that they like the president now, as many conservatives who used to not like him do like him now. And I'm appreciative of that, because I told you that he wasn't the boogeyman that you thought he was. But beyond that, I continue to be impressed by CPAC's ability to change direction on who they like and don't like. And it's just remember when Trump was disinvited? Trump was disinvited because he was too vulgar. Remember that? I'm looking at this stuff, and I find it to be very, very interesting. So Mitt Romney is no conservative, has never been a conservative. When he ran for president as a Republican, we made it clear, we know that he's not a conservative. It doesn't really matter. Right guy, right time, that sort of thing. Matt Schlapp, chairman of the American Conservative Union, announced Friday that Senator Mitt Romney, Republican allegedly of Utah, would not be invited to this year's gathering. The breaking news, the extreme conservative and junior senator from the great state of Utah, Senator Romney, is formally not invited to CPAC 2020, Schlapp said. I like how he was kind of joking, the extreme conservative, because Mitt Romney keeps running around going, I'm extremely conservative. No, you're not. Schlapp's announcement came after Romney voted to allow new witnesses and documents in President Donald Trump's impeachment trial, all of which would, by the way, set a dangerous legal precedent and basically make impeachment the norm for the future of the country. So anytime we had a president, as long as the other party had control of the House of Representatives, there was going to be an impeachment. Now, we do have countries that do that sort of thing. So how many times has Russia's government been completely, obliterated and gotten rid of by Putin? That's happened several times. And yeah, we could be a place like that, I guess. That would be great. Romney's vote was motivated by his desire to hear from John Bolton, Romney's spokesperson Liz Johnson said. And as we went over at the beginning of the show, Bolton's testimony was utterly and completely meaningless in the grand scheme of things. Okay. Romney and Senator Susan Collins, Republican of Maine, two of the most moderate Republican lawmakers, were the only two Republicans who voted in favor of additional witnesses and evidence, which, again, are irrelevant to the case. However, because Democrats needed 4 Republican votes, Trump's trial will likely end next Wednesday, which we already told you. So Romney has spoken at CPAC several times, including in 2012. Now, he was the nominee for the presidency at that point, so that would make sense. But in 2013, after he lost the election, he was also a speaker. Senator Mike Lee, Republican of Utah as well, also defended Romney on Friday, calling him a good friend and an excellent senator. All right, he might be a good friend, and you're from Utah, so you got to defend the guy. But let's be honest, he's wrong. He's 100% wrong. And Mitt Romney is also personally embattled with the president. And there's so many people that are personally embattled with the president. But this is the thing. Mitt Romney speaks out, trashes the president, and then the president responds and goes, yeah, remember when that weakling lost that election that he easily could have won? Remember that guy? Because he backed off and wouldn't fight? Yeah, that was Mitt Romney. And suddenly Mitt Romney wants to grow a spine and actually battle on something. It's crazy. All right. 574-25-95-95-3. We are live streaming on YouTube and Twitch. So you can go to youtube.com/KC the or twitch.tv/KC the host. If you just want to watch it on my website, go to theburningtruth.us. In the sidebar in any post, you will have the video playing there. And let me know. First of all, subscribe the video. And let me know if I am being too petty by throwing other people's business cards away when they steal my business card holder. We got more coming up on 95.3 MNC.
Keeping you connected with breaking news on the
So, how many seconds before John comes down and says, you're not really going to throw people's business cards away, are you?
He'd call. I don't know. This is not a come down here.
Depends on where he is in the building, I guess. Good job, B-Dubs. Glad to hear it. Caitlin Bennett's interesting. I've seen some of her stuff. I haven't seen anything that makes me cringe. Is something new happening with her? Or?
Can I ask what you're calling about, please?
No, this Wednesday, Brian. I don't know. Did I say next Wednesday? I meant this Wednesday.
All right. Can I get your first name, please? All right, I'll try to get you on there, Matt. He's cleaning the backfield business.
Okay. That was me. I'm just trying to bring people food. I'm so sorry.
Next to your house, your vehicle is one of your biggest investments, and it's important to routinely take care of. Get oil changes a few times a year, new wheels and suspension, and maybe even change out a light bulb or two. So if the inside is running great, why not make the outside look just as flawless? Parkwood Auto Spa on Edison Road in Mishawaka.
They have to do closing arguments today and tomorrow. So you've got one side doing closing arguments today, one side doing it tomorrow, and then they'll have the vote on Wednesday.
You'll receive free free. So whether you, your spouses, or your kids' vehicle needs a wash, there's plenty to go around. Or for only $15.95 a month, you can
The funny thing is it's Caucus Day.
Parkwood Auto Spa also lets you control your wash. Fill up in the bay and get it done by hand. Or drive through your automatic wash and get on your way. Get the Parkwood Auto Spa in Mishawaka and South Bend. And online at parkwoodautospa.com.
Oh, come on now. I think it's kind of funny that I noticed that on the day that I ask you if I'm petty. About a totally unrelated item. Hunter who? Which Hunter? I have never heard of that person. Yeah, never heard of him. He must be one of those people that Buck Sexton and I were talking about. Nobody's ever heard of, but they make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on YouTube, even though nobody knows who they are. Must be one of those guys. Young guy, huh?
experience extended hours at the bar. This beer is an all-new menu. Tuesdays through Sundays with specials every day and music bingo on Wednesday nights. Learn more by going to Studebaker Brewing Co.
664,000 subs. and nobody knows who he is. Afternoon, Zizu. How are you? Hope I got that correct.
Grab yourself a delicious deal at MyDealsMichiana.com, where you can get two $25 certificates for the price of one to Cottage and Pizza. Located in Niles, Cottage and Pizza is one of Michigan's favorite pizza places, with gourmet pizzas, calzone, pastas, and more. Cottage and Pizza has a full menu of delicious dishes to feed the whole family. Grab this exclusive offer for two
I didn't notice the kids dancing in cages. I was distracted by the copious amounts of crotch shots from the two performers. We were close up on the camera too, by the way. Thought that was interesting. Hanging in there. I am hanging in there. That's about it. And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Hey, we're going to get to the Iowa caucus here in just a little bit. Kind of give you some of the updates on what's going on and some of the polling. Who do you think is going to win, that sort of stuff. And we'll get to all of that here about 4:30 or so. In the meantime, I did have a lot of people who hit me up on the live stream who were telling me to trash the other people's business cards. But we have some people who called and wanted to chat about it. Matt, welcome to the program.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi there.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'd throw them out too. In fact, where I work, we had somebody come in and drop a stack of business cards without saying anything to anybody.
Yeah.
Right on our front counter. You can imagine where that went.
Well, and here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with you leaving a business card somewhere. And if they have a board, by all means, put a business card up there. But, I mean, at least ask permission if you can leave it on some counter, right?
That's what I thought.
And maybe they did. Maybe they, asked the girls up front, like, hey, can we leave some business cards here? And they're probably like, yeah, sure, by all means. That's what the table is for. But when you start taking people's business cards out of a holder and it's the only holders up there, I mean, you're messing with people's property at that point.
Yeah, I was looking at it, and I asked the girls myself before I tossed it, whose are these?
Mm-hmm.
And they both said, I don't know. I didn't know there was anything up there. Gotcha.
Yeah, time to go then. All right, so you're in favor of me burning it all down then?
You know, they do make good fire starters. Just saying.
There you go. All right, bud. Appreciate it. You take care.
Have a good one.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Not that any of this is an official endorsement of me. It's just so irritating. Again, I understand it's probably taking up too much energy, but just one of those minor little things that, just sticks in my craw a little bit. Top al-Qaeda terror leader who previously mocked President Donald Trump has been killed in a U.S. airstrike in Yemen, according to the Pentagon. Qasim al-Rimi ridiculed the president in 2017 after a failed U.S. military strike in Yemen intended to target him. Quote, the fool at the White House got slapped at the beginning of his road in your lands, al-Rimi said in a recording. Well, I suppose things could be worse for people that the president tweets about. So, I suppose. New York Times reported that several American officials were confident that al-Rimi was killed in the January airstrike. The report said that an informant provided U.S. forces in November with the location of the head of al-Qaeda's affiliate in Yemen. Shelley Carbone, who is a journalist, also reported that U.S. officials were working to confirm the death of al-Rimi. So we got another terrorist leader. That happened, which, of course, doesn't get a lot of attention. Representative Ilhan Omar is continuing to beclown herself. So Ilhan Omar, she went out there and she tweeted out, if we ever had a president give a State of the Union address during an impeachment trial, that was hysterical because everybody had to remind her that, that totally happened before. There's this guy, his name is Bill. And this Bill dude has exactly done that. And, of course, why is this link? I think that my Instapaper service blocks links to certain websites and is not allowing me to open
This particular link is what I think is happening. Let's see. So anyway, Ilhan Omar continues to be investigated. I'm going to try and pull up the article independently here. What do we have here? Judicial Watch has asked for a principal's examination in September, and this is all about her campaign finance. Now, I want to remind everybody that Ilhan Omar it's now been confirmed that she is under investigation by several federal agencies, including the FBI. And, well, I should say that the FBI is acting as the catch-all here. But there's several agencies and bureaucracies with the federal government that are looking into various accusations against her, a lot of which are campaign finance reform. Now, she has actually violated campaign finance laws in the past. Okay, that is confirmed. They're minor, okay? They're not things you get thrown in prison for. They're minor little fines and that sort of stuff. There's an accusation that there's far more egregious campaign finance violations that they're investigating right now. And I'm going to get to that in just a second. But also, ICE and the FBI have confirmed that they are looking into whether or not she committed immigration fraud by lying about marrying her brother. Now, if that ends up being true, which, keep in mind, the press said was a conspiracy theory for a long time, and then all of a sudden the Minnesota Tribune, which is a liberal paper in her home state of Minnesota, came out and said, yeah, it's starting to look like there might be something to this. And then, of course, other groups went forward and continued to press the document angle. And as documents were released, it started to seem a lot more like there might be something to this. And so anybody who runs around and says it's a conspiracy theory, we are at the point now where the federal government is literally looking into whether or not she committed immigration fraud. So if that is the case, then obviously this puts her entire immigration status in the United States in jeopardy, and of course her House seat in jeopardy as well. But the latest is that about 40%, so goes the allegation from Judicial Watch, about 40% of Ilhan Omar's campaign spending went to her boyfriend's law firm. Now, keep in mind, there's a huge love triangle, some infidelity, all of that stuff happening involving all of this. Conservative watchdog group Judicial Watch asked for a principal's examination in September, right into whether Representative Ilhan Omar, Democrat of Minnesota, poorly utilized campaign funds for her concubine, Tim Minette. Now, Judicial Watch broadened their ask for a principal's examination into Ilhan Omar after formally inquiring a probe right into the claims of marital relationship scams, migration scams, tax obligation scams. She's also been caught lying on her taxes. They're investigating that further. And that's not conspiracy. That did happen. And also identification scams, which is related to the immigration stuff. So now what they're looking at is apparently the New York Post found that Ilhan Omar offered an added $147,000 to her firm, to her boyfriend's firm in November. And let's see, currently shows that up to 50% of Ilhan Omar's spending in the fourth quarter went to her sweetheart's E Street group. So overall, in 2019, about 40% of her spending went to her boyfriend's business. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's illegal, depending on the services provided, okay, just so you know. But it sure does seem like a large amount of cash going into one spot, especially when there is a romantic relationship there that is going on. It could mean that you're funneling money somewhere. Doesn't necessarily mean it's illegal or criminal, okay? I just want everybody to understand that there could be some illegal activity that they're looking into, but about 40% went to her boyfriend's company. Now, with that said, Joe, would you say, if the allegations are true against Ilhan Omar, that if you take 40% of your campaign money and you give it to your boyfriend's company, would you say that could be, I don't know, an abuse of power maybe, potentially? Yeah, okay, cool. Ilhan Omar wants the president impeached because of abuse of power. Just throwing that out there. Got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station. MNC.
God, that felt good. All right. So, Alex, this will probably be of interest to you. It looks like Instapaper, because this is now several links that haven't worked from Instapaper, that they are blocking Gab. So if I link to Gab's service, if I save one of those links, Instapaper will not allow me to open it.
They told South Tribune that keeping it going is a year-round effort, and they're all exhausted. Carl Stutzman, MNC News.
And it's meth and cocaine charges for an Elkhart man after police stopped him for
And it's meth and cocaine charges for an Elkhart man. Also in the news, today is Monday. Although cocaine is a little high class for Elkhart. The meth is, let's be honest, it's Elkhart. But cocaine, a little high class. He's trying to class the joint up a little bit.
Speaking of cocaine, is that what's going to be in Coke's energy drink? Is that they just go back to the cocaine?
Wouldn't that be funny as hell if they just went back to the original recipe? Oh my god. You could try it out in like Eastern Asia first, you know, where
I
it's
think
legal.
my favorite ad was the Pepsi ad where they started it with Pepsi Max ad where they had the red can.
They got rid of the color
and they painted it black.
Doing the
very good gimmick.
The old Rolling Stones song. The Trump ad was very, very effective, and I love watching people absolutely lose their minds over it. But the commercials were absolute trash. They're just normal commercials. You don't watch the Super Bowl for anything but normal commercials. Or you don't watch it for normal commercials. You watch it for anything but. I don't know anything about Cicada 3301. I don't know anything about it. So they publish code breakers for. Oh, okay. So they're code breakers, and they publish puzzles to get code breakers. Okay. I don't know anything about them. I have no idea. I don't know what their body of work is or anything.
Daytime highs topping out near 50 degrees as the average temperature dropped down to 33. And then for Tuesday, a little bit of rain does move on in. We're back turning briefly over to a wintry mix. The daytime high at only 36 degrees. And the ABC
Zero Hedge is banned on Twitter. Oh boy. Zizu says Coke Energy tastes like Raid and it's awful.
I don't know what Raid is.
Like the bug spray.
Why do you know what Raid is?
I don't know. Because it's an aerosol. Maybe they tried it when it was windy. Although Raid has a smell that you can taste.
I also really like the Bud Light seltzer ad. That was funny.
Okay, I will get. All right, the Post Malone ads were good. I'll give them that. But they're not like Super Bowl good. But they were good. They were good. And apparently he did something too. Like he took $50,000 for like a 7-Eleven or something. There was like some gimmick that happened, and then I'm assuming the shot of the two guys that were in his head at the Super Bowl was real.
Yeah, that
they were
like
there in character.
Shot,
it did. It looked like a real one.
And then I really liked the. I think it was it had Lil Nas X in it, and they were dancing back and forth. I don't remember his name, but it's his dad in the ranch. That was really good. He's like, he said, "Who got next?" I was like, "That's funny." I enjoyed it.
Oh, the dance off.
Yeah. I think it was a chip commercial. Michiana's a news channel.
Among the gainers, tech with Microsoft hitting a record high today. The Dow winners, IBM, Home Depot, and Nike. The Dow
Post Malone brought $50,000 in cash to E11 Even, which apparently is a club in Miami.
And a historic day for Tesla. The electric car maker stock running up close to 20% and zooming past $700 a share for the first time. Tesla getting a boost from an analyst at Argus Research who hiked his price target on the stock to $808.
All right, I will try to get that out there.
After a Goldman Sachs analyst said it was time to sell the oil giant due to concerns that the company is on track to come up well short of its target for investment returns. Its stock down 2.5%. After Bob's business report, I'm Rebarsky, invested in you.
All right, I'll get that out there, sir. Thank you. Johnson Street Bridge, where the hydroelectric dam is,
Yes.
Elkhart.
Mhm.
There's apparently a bunch of rescue emergency vehicles there.
Oh, great. That's not at all right near my house.
Hi, this is Dwayne Miller with Good Faith Management, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast and for a fair price, call me at 574-294-5678. I can pay cash and close in as little as
I'm
7
assuming
days.
it's blocking traffic.
Any condition, any price range, and in any location.
It's
I am not a realtor or associated with any realty company. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month and will buy even more. Call me at 574-294-5678. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses.
I don't know who Sam Elliott is either.
I even buy my tenant will pay me to rent houses. Do you own a house that is
The baby nut commercial was a little funny.
It was good if you knew the context.
If you knew,
of it.
yeah, if you knew what had happened.
The P&G commercial was really good, where they had all their brands in one in like a party.
Yeah,
That was good.
it was smartly done. But again, it's just like they're all just kind of like, eh. You know, I miss the days where you had pigeons chasing your car trying to poop on it. You know, those were the days. Those are Super Bowl commercials. There's a couple of woke commercials that got on there. It's fine.
Pete Azad got banned again. The 50th year in a row.
Yeah.
So many vehicles, we were running out of places to park. We have a tremendous offering of new Jeep, Ram, Chrysler, Dodge, Buick, and GMC models. And inside the desk.
I gotta look up this guy now. Damn it. Oh, he's in the dance off. That guy. He's the white dude in the dance off.
Oh yeah.
You could be driving something newer or better than you are right now for a lower payment. Locking in those values of honesty and integrity are everything customers and employees alike. That's why so many of us have been there for so long.
I just didn't know the name. I remember people's faces. I don't remember their names. So.
A tradition of caring since 1954.
Commercial electrical done right. This is Casey Hendrickson.
Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. This just called in Johnson Street Bridge by the hydroelectric dam in Elkhart. There are emergency vehicles on the bridge. You said there's rescue vehicles there too, right?
That is what the caller said.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope somebody didn't go in. That's a very tumultuous area, to say the least, with the water. But a lot of people fish there.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen anybody. I don't think you're allowed to fish right now, but I could be wrong. But there are a lot of people who fish there. And, you know, so you have to wonder if maybe somebody fell or jumped in. I don't know. I'm just saying that they saw emergency vehicles there. So the Johnson Street Bridge by the hydroelectric dam in Elkhart, again, there's emergency vehicles there. You want to avoid that if you can. Just go around. 574-2595, 95.3. That is 2595953. All right, the Iowa caucus is today. Let's take a look at the Iowa polling. Bernie Sanders, 23%. Joe Biden, 19.3%. Pete Buttigieg, 16.8%. Elizabeth Warren, 15.5%, if that is her real name. Klobuchar, 9%. Yang, 3.3%. All right, so Bernie Sanders, according to the average in polling from RCP, is going to win Iowa, which for the record doesn't bode very well for him for the race, because traditionally when you win Iowa, you don't win the race. But it would be a big victory for Bernie Sanders. He's outside of the margin of error if he wins this thing. Joe Biden, of course, continues to put his foot in his mouth and go up and down, up and down, up and down. Pete Buttigieg is kind of the same thing. He goes up and down, up and down, up and down. And at one point, he was leading Iowa and was outside of the margin of error. And then he was in the margin of error, and now he's in third place. And that's if the polling holds, because technically he is tied with Elizabeth Warren for third. So he could drop down to fourth, depending on how this thing works, if the polling is correct, and we don't know how correct it ultimately is. And these early contests are, listener just said they can confirm a rescue vehicle is there at the Johnson Street Bridge. All right, so I absolutely hope the best, because that is not an easy area to fall into the water or to jump into the water, that's for sure. So anyway, so we've got the polling there in Iowa. The caucus is happening today. I don't need to go over the rules of a caucus and caucus versus primary, I don't think. Sometimes that comes up. We'll save that for a Friday. If you're interested in it on a Friday, by all means, give me a call. It's usually something that comes up every time we cover these sorts of things. Now, there's a couple of different things that are happening with the election, which I think are very, very interesting. First of all, Bernie Sanders, again, expected to win Iowa based on the polling data, okay? Now, if he wins Iowa, you're going to see the Democratic Party start getting really nervous. And this is where we're starting to see some interesting things happen. So, John Kerry has allegedly, according to NBC News, has the former Secretary of State, the former smartest man to ever run for president. That's what they were telling us when he was doing it. You didn't connect with John Kerry on an intellectual level because he's so much smarterer than you are. They actually made that case. Yosef was a little too young to remember that, but they made that case. People just weren't able to connect with what John Kerry was saying because he's just so leaps and bounds more intelligent than all of you. What you have to understand is those of us in the press, we know what he is saying. And what he is saying is correct. And so John Kerry is super, super smart. Just believe us and believe it, even if you can't understand a word that he's saying. That was a strategy on their part. Didn't work out very well for them. So John Kerry, according to NBC News, has been overheard saying that he's now considering getting in the race. I don't know if there's any truth to it. It's NBC News, so you got to take everything they say with a grain of salt. But how funny would it be if John Kerry hopped into this thing? Honestly, what are we down to? 30 candidates now? We had some other guy drop out last week. Never heard of him. Former Secretary of State, we have, but you know what I mean. Former Secretary of State John Kerry, one of Joe Biden's highest profile endorsers, was overheard on Sunday on the phone in Des Moines hotel explaining that he would have to do what he would have to do to enter the presidential race amid the possibility of Bernie Sanders taking down the Democratic Party. Sitting in the lobby restaurant of the Renaissance Savory Hotel, Kerry was overheard by an NBC News analyst, allegedly, saying, maybe I'm bleeping diluting myself here, shades of Theresa Hines Kerry coming through there, and explaining that in order to run, he'd have to step down from the board of Bank of America and give up his ability to make paid speeches. Kerry said donors like venture capitalist Doug Hickey would have to raise a couple of $1 million, adding that such donors now have the reality of Bernie. Now, that doesn't mean that he's actually looking at doing it. It could very well mean that somebody said, what would it take for you to get into this thing? And then him explain it. It may not be anything serious, okay? It's just kind of interesting that it's coming up because the Democrats are absolutely nervous that Bernie Sanders is going to take this thing. They are so nervous they are considering changing the rules on him again. We'll talk about that coming up next on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Elk Park Fire Department just put a vote.
26 years of exceptional food, tremendous service, and great people. Visit Prime Table today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Your home comfort experts, heating specialists, 5-day forecasts.
Tuesday, the little break starts to move into the morning hours, all very light and that conditions over to 96. During the afternoon, we'll do some lines talking about at 36 degrees. For Wednesday, we're back to mostly cloudy skies, around through 32. We have a chance for some winter snow showers overnight. And then Thursday, back to mostly cloudy to partly cloudy skies. Temperatures right around 32. For Friday, we're going back up.
How long do I have?
5 minutes.
All right, I'll be right back, folks.
Try your sweet Valentine's Day. We have the best ever Valentine's prize package for one lucky winner. Waiting for a chance to win? Text the word TREAT to 45364. Message and data rates apply. Or enter at 953mnc.com.
Smart manufacturing goes by a lot of different names these days. Industrial automation, Industry 4.0, and modernization. Are you ready to empower your shop floor? Are you ready to reduce production bottlenecks, eliminate human error, and reach for the full capacity of your business? Sounds like you're ready for comprehensive solutions made possible through the power of industrial automation. Bring your operation to the 21st century with real-time machine connectivity. Automate your systems. Visualize your production line. Get alerts from your equipment that can notify you when something is going haywire. Deploy resources to be the most efficient and avoid unwanted downtime. Look no further than Final Phase Electric. Take your team to the next level with real-time analytics and alerts from connected devices. Find out how you can reduce manual processes, increase production volume, and improve your business results. Unlock your business's potential with a call to Final Phase Electric at 574-522-4444.
Hey, Mom, guess what?
I don't know. What?
Zach asked me to the prom today.
Oh, honey, that is so exciting. Oh, you better start planning. We'll have to make appointments now for your hair and nails and the dress. The dress. We need to shop.
Yes, I can't wait. So, I wanted to start at Judy's. All the girls at school are getting their dresses from Judy's. They have the latest from Ellie Wild, Milano, and Blush. And the best part is, they keep each dress exclusive to each school.
Well, yeah, I love Judy's. That's where I found my dress for your brother's wedding. The girls are great and so helpful with color and style analysis. They won't even let you leave the store with something that doesn't look just right on you. Oh, this is so exciting.
I know. Hey, Mom, one more thing.
Yes?
Can we go today?
We better. If you're going to get the dress you really want.
Just had somebody send me a message and go, hey, do you know if this is true? And it's that photo going around about Charamella dating Schiff's daughter again. No, it's not true. Eric Charamella did not date his daughter.
Great-great-grandfather, when he came across the ocean, listed himself as a painter. And then my dad, he's been a painter for a lot of his life.
I mean, they are playing with fire trying to screw Bernie, honestly. And the real thing is, will they actually jump to Trump? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But what I can tell you is that a lot of those Bernie supporters did not support Hillary, and that killed her. So you never know.
It is all about cleaning too. I mean, a lot of people in the spring and in the fall, people would repaint bedrooms, bathrooms, and just spruce it up. 574-633-0171 or CrispyCustomPainting.com. If I could name a job, I want it to be a good problem. It should like my name's Dave Titus. One of the things that we see people that are really concerned with is whether they can actually afford it or not. They see these new things going down the road, and oh my gosh, I didn't ever have one of those. And it's the start of $11 a month. It's all about the fun. Sitting at your fire with your wife and then with your kids. So, private weekend, it really doesn't cost you everything that you have at that time. Any type of service warranty repair, whether it be for a small appliance repair, cabinetry work, plumbing, air conditioning, all the way up to full collisions.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of them are a bit nuts, without a doubt.
Associated with an RV that we can't fix. My service department took probably easily 200 years.
Well, and they should be. Honestly, they should be mad. Half of it was Bernie's fault for not being willing to fight Hillary from the very beginning and trying to be nice. And the other half is obviously the scam that happened to him. So it's looking more and more like the possibility of a brokered convention could very, very much happen.
During Michiana's morning news on 95.3 MNC, your breaking news and weather station.
Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. Once again, traffic alert. Johnson Street Bridge in Elkhart by the hydroelectric dam. There are emergency vehicles in the area. Boat is in the water. That is official. There are rescue vehicles there as well. So somebody appears to be in the water. We're obviously hoping for the best, but again, you want to avoid the Johnson Street Bridge by the hydroelectrical dam in Elkhart. Avoid that until this is all over with. All right. The situation in Iowa. So the polls show that Bernie Sanders should win Iowa. If the polls are right, Bernie should win. Biden should come in second, okay? If the polls are not right, then that is where you get a whole host of scenarios that open up that are very interesting, and we'll have to analyze those later on in the week. If Joe Biden ends up not placing well, if Joe Biden comes in third in this thing, his campaign's essentially done. Really, anybody who kind of was a front runner who comes in third is likely going to be seen as needing to get out pretty quick. You know, you can always stick it out, try and do better in the next couple of races, and then hope that you have an opportunity to kind of get a new lease on life, if you will. Maybe there's a scandal that happens, take somebody else out, that sort of thing. But if Joe Biden doesn't place well, the chances of him winning the nomination almost completely disappear, which is kind of where I think you're getting the John Kerry conversation from. NBC News is, again, listening to him have a conversation in a hotel lobby where he explains what would have to happen if he were to run. That doesn't mean he's seriously, entertaining the idea. Again, an example, people ask me, are you going to run for mayor of Elkhart? No. I never said that I wanted to, but it was something that numerous people asked me to do right after the last election. Actually, the first time I was asked was right before the last election. And no, I'm not. But when I come on and people ask me about it and I talk about it, I tell you, well, this would have to happen, that would have to happen, that sort of thing. That doesn't mean that I'm actually entertaining the idea. I'm not. But I have to also tell you these sorts of things would have to happen for me to even be able to do it. I'm not interested in doing it. So Kerry could have been doing that, okay, in a conversation. And NBC News just heard one part of that conversation and just decided to report on it. That doesn't mean that John Kerry is seriously or actually looking at getting into the race. He could just be explaining to somebody what would have to happen for him to do so. And what it sounds like is people are going to have to raise a lot of money because he's making a lot of money now. That's kind of what it sounds like to me. It sounds like John Kerry is not interested in doing the whole Swift boat thing again unless there's going to be a ton of money available for him to do it. All right, so I'm not buying into John Kerry jumping into this thing, especially as late as it is. It's already annoying that Bloomberg is in on this thing. And by the way, we'll tell you how Bloomberg wasted his money on the Super Bowl ad that he ran here coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. But in the meantime, there is a real fear in the Democratic Party that Bernie Sanders is going to get this nomination, and they've been strategizing against him for some time. For months, the Democrats have been caught trying to rig the system against Bernie Sanders again. So now, here we go in Politico. A small group of Democratic National Committee members has privately begun gauging support for a plan to potentially weaken Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign and head off a brokered convention. For the record, I'm not saying that there's going to be a brokered convention. That is a convention where you have no clear nominee. All right. And you're all fighting it out at the convention. Okay. I'm not saying that we're going to get that, but right now, most of the evidence is pointing towards a brokered contested convention for the Democrats, which would be ugly and disastrous for them. Okay. In conversations on the sidelines of a DNC executive committee meeting and in telephone calls and texts in recent days, about a half dozen members have discussed the possibility of a policy reversal to ensure that so-called superdelegates can vote on the first ballot at the party's national convention. That's how Hillary screwed Bernie the last time. So you have at least a small group of Democrats who are saying, hey, maybe we should change the rules back to how they used to be and screw Bernie again. Now, keep in mind, the rules were changed. Why? Because Bernie got screwed. That's why. So they changed the rules. And that was their way of appeasing the Bernie supporters. We're so sorry. We're going to change the rules. It's never going to happen again. And now you got a bunch of people running around going, hey, Bernie might be the guy. We should probably stop this by going back to the superdelegates. Such a move would increase the influence of DNC members, members of Congress, and other top party officials who now must wait until the second ballot to have their say if the convention is contested. So they used to have their say on the first ballot, and the superdelegates could basically decide who the presidential nominee was going to be. Now it is designed to give the voters at the convention the say, and superdelegates basically get to step in round two of voting if the lower voters, if you will, for lack of terminology, lower voters don't decide who their nominee is going to be. All right. Then the superdelegates get now set in. But the superdelegates are not going to decide who the nominee is going to be anymore. And again, rule change happened because of the Hillary, I almost said Heidi, the Hillary-Bernie fiasco. I do believe that we should reopen the rules. I hear it from others as well. One DNC member said in a text message last week to William Owen, a DNC member from Tennessee, who does not support reopening the rules. Owen, who declined to identify the member, said that the member added in a text that it would be hard, though. We could force a meeting or on the floor. Even proponents of the change acknowledge that it is all but certain not to gain enough support to move past the initial conversations, but the talks reveal the extent of angst that many establishment Democrats are feeling on the eve of the Iowa caucuses. And again, Bernie Sanders has surged. Bernie Sanders is in the lead. Bernie Sanders is now considered a favorite in the national polling as well. And if he wins Iowa, he's going to win New Hampshire. Probably won't win South Carolina, but he's going to win Iowa. If he wins Iowa, he'll win New Hampshire. So this is yet more evidence that the Democratic establishment does not want Bernie Sanders to be their nominee. And the fact that you have people running around and saying, hey, we're gonna go ahead and try and screw Bernie the same way you got screwed last time against Hillary, which there's still people furious about that. You talk to the Bernie people, one of the reasons that so many of them are so amped up this time around is because they played the nice game last time against Hillary and they lost, and then they ended up finding out that it was a whole systemic thing and there was collusion and a whole host of things working against them in this nefarious plot to get rid of Bernie. Now, if this happens again, it would be disastrous for the Democratic Party. Now, my sense is that the Democratic Party is going to realize this and squash this because if it gets out that, well, I mean, not if it gets out because it's out, but I mean, if they were to do this again, there's no hope for them to win this time around. The Bernie supporters would absolutely pack their bags and go elsewhere. Whether that's to Trump or just staying home, I don't know. But they would certainly not be supporting the Democratic Party. At least a large chunk of them wouldn't be. But at the same time, there's going to be several of them looking at this, even if it doesn't happen, or saying they're still trying to do it to him. And they might, just this story might be enough to affect the outcome of an election, even if Bernie doesn't win the nomination. I mean, that is, the Democrats are really hosing themselves with their base over the past several elections. All right. Oh, by the way, the RNC, another record-breaking fundraising quarter. Just thought you should know that. Got more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
WTRC FM.
And HD1 and HD3.
Niles, South Bend, Elkhart.
The Iowa caucuses are the first contest of the 2020 on both Republicans and Democrats caucus tonight. The crowded Democratic field is getting the most attention.
For more than a year, you've been knocking on doors, making calls, hosting house parties, and talking with your neighbors about this campaign.
Elizabeth Warren telling voters she's in the fight for them.
Does anybody actually host a political house party?
Giant freaking nerds and real political majors in college.
Like, I've been around a lot of political nerds, and I've never run into somebody who actually did that. There's been a couple of like debate watch parties and stuff, but like an actual like house party to sit down and discuss who to vote for.
Yeah, that sounds like something that somebody would do.
Here's my Tupperware.
West Virginia Democrats mention on the Senate though he says officially remains undecided for now. The trial's already done for today.
He betrayed our national security in order to do it. When he withheld military aid to our ally and violated the law to do so. He covered it up, and he covers it up still.
Lead House Manager Adam Schiff, defense lawyer.
Ooh, we're talking about ammo now. Nice.
In the way they conduct the impeachment proceedings and bring a matter here before the Senate.
Arguing the process was partisan and unfair, and the president did nothing wrong. The vote is expected Wednesday. Tomorrow night.
Interesting. I still have 61 people watching. It's like I feel like the stream is growing. So make sure you subscribe and hit that thumbs up. Pretty please. I guess all I had to do was talk about how the stream might go to 1 day a week, and then all of a sudden people are paying close attention to it again. I didn't see the streaker. Did you guys see the streaker? Apparently there's a Super Bowl streaker. Her.
Good for her.
I got money. It says she's that chick for that website.
That narrows it down to.
No, there was that one lady who did it because she's wearing like a thong and all that. She's like topless. I think because there was that one that had. Okay, hold on a second. There's that one who did it for her boyfriend's like adult company. So she ran on one of the fields for, I don't know if it was the World Series or what.
Oh yeah, she flashed. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like a marketing stunt. I think it's the same.
I remember
one.
she got banned from MLB.
It's believed to be Kelly Kay, social media star who operates an Instagram page with over 200,000 followers. Fellow model Colleen McGinnis appeared to identify her in a post. Let's see.
Experts, heating specialists, first warning forecast.
This isn't. No, different. I guess they're saying it's a different person. Oh well. It worked for them. Maybe it'll work for me. More than 100 million viewers on average for the Super Bowl. Fox News' Chris Wallace. It hurt your feelings a little bit when Trump attacked you.
Next to your house, your
Grow up.
vehicle is one of your biggest investments, and it's important to routinely take care of it. Get oil changes a few times a year, new wheels and suspension, and may even change out a light bulb or two. So if the inside is running great.
Comfortably Smug got suspended?
Edison Road in Mishawaka and Ireland Road in South Bend to make sure your ride looks pristine and gleaming. They're also home of the Buy 5, Get 3 free. For every 5 washes you buy, you'll receive 3 free. So whether you, your spouse's, or your kid's vehicle needs a wash, there's plenty to go around. Or for only $15.95 a month, you can get an unlimited amount of washes. For that, there's no reason you won't have the best looking vehicle on the road. Parkwood Auto Spa also lets you control your wash. Pull up in the bay and get it done by hand. Or drive through their automatic wash and get on your way. Get the Parkwood Auto Spa in Mishawaka and South Bend. And online at parkwoodautospa.com.
So, Comfortably Smug tweeted to Biden and asked, "Where's Hunter, fat?" Now, remember when Joe Biden called that guy fat? And so they suspended the account. Nice.
Get a quote in as little as 3 minutes at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and will for this point policy not in all states. Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
From the Final Phase Electric Studios, from the first step to the final phase, industrial and commercial electrical done right. This is Casey Hendrickson on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel, your breaking news and weather station.
Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Phone number 574-2595, 95.3. Joe, would you cue up my audio, please? Earlier today, Rush Limbaugh made a special announcement on his radio program right before this show started. And if you missed it, I want to replay that announcement for all of you today. It was a major announcement, and it is going to impact his radio program for the foreseeable future. I don't need to tell you what it is. I'm just going to let Rush Limbaugh do that. So we're going to play his announcement in its entirety right here on the show. And then we're going to give you some updates on some things that happened with the Super Bowl ads, in particular, President Trump's Super Bowl ads. And we'll also cover some more things throughout the rest of the show. But this was obviously something that we weren't expecting today. It happened right before this program started as he was ending his show. And the news is it's obviously huge. Or otherwise, I wouldn't be playing an entire portion of his radio program for you today. So have a listen. Is it not coming through? All right, hold on. Let's try it again.
The way to look at it, I can't help but feel that I'm letting everybody down with this. But the upshot is that I have been diagnosed with advanced lung cancer. Diagnosis confirmed by 2 medical institutions back on January 20th. First realized something was wrong on my birthday weekend, January 12th. And I wish I didn't have to tell you this. And I thought about not telling anybody. I thought about trying to do this without anybody knowing, because I don't like making things about me. But there are going to be days that I'm not going to be able to be here because I'm undergoing treatment or I'm reacting to treatment. And I know that that would inspire all kinds of curiosity with people wondering what's going on. And the worst thing that can happen is when there is something going on and you try to hide it and cover it up, it's eventually going to leak. And then people are going to, why didn't you just say it? Why'd you try to fool everybody? And it's not that I want to fool anybody. It's just that I don't want to burden anybody with it. And I haven't wanted to. But it is what it is. And you know me, I'm the mayor of Realville. So this has happened, and my intention is to come here every day I can and to do this program as normally and as competently and as expertly as I do each and every day, because that is the source of my greatest satisfaction professionally, personally. I've had so much support from family and friends during this that it's been tremendous. And I told the staff today that I have a deeply personal relationship with God that I do not proselytize about. But I do, and I have been working that relationship tremendously, which I do regularly anyway, but I've been focused on it intensely for the past couple of weeks. I know there are many of you in this audience who have experienced this, who are going through it yourselves at the same time. I am, at the moment, experiencing 0 symptoms other than, I don't want to get too detailed in this, what led to shortness of breath that I thought might have been asthma or, I'm 69, could have been my heart. My heart's in great shape, ticking away fine, squeezing and pumping great. It was not that. It was a pulmonary problem involving malignancy. So I'm going to be gone the next couple of days as we figure out the treatment course of action and have further testing done. But as I said, I'm gonna be here as often as I can, and as is the case with everybody who finds themselves in this circumstance, you just want to push ahead and try to keep everything as normal as you can, which is something that I'm going to try to do. But felt that I had to tell you, because that's the kind of relationship I feel like I have with those of you in this audience. And I say it every Christmas, which is when I feel more thankful than at Thanksgiving. And I feel thankful at Thanksgiving, but Christmas, it really gets to me. But over the years, a lot of people have been very nice, telling me how much this program has meant to them. But whatever that is, it pales in comparison to what you all have meant to me. And I can't describe this, but I know you're there every day. I can see you. It's strange but I know you're there. I know you're there in great numbers. And I know that you understand everything I say. The rest of the world may not when they hear it expressed a different way, but I know that you do. You've been one of the greatest sources of confidence that I've had in my life. So I hope I will be talking about this as little as necessary in the coming days. But we've got a great bunch of doctors, a great team assembled. We're at full speed ahead on this. And it's just now a matter of implementing what we are going to be told later this week. So I'll be back here. I hope to be back on Thursday. If not, it'll be as soon as I can. And know that every day I'm not here, I'll be thinking about you and missing you. Thank you very much.
All right. Again, Rush Limbaugh with his announcement earlier today, shortly before he ended his radio program, right before this show started, obviously caught everybody a little off guard. We did notice that obviously Rush has been kind of gone, and typically this is not when he takes time off. So, especially when you have an election cycle coming up and you're leading into the caucuses. So we all thought it was strange, but there's a couple of bugs going around that we just kind of assumed maybe he had caught in one of those. And now, of course, we know the truth, that he has advanced lung cancer. That diagnosis has been confirmed by 2 professionals. He says he is taking a couple of days off to go over his treatment options. He will decide ultimately where to go with that. I assume that we're not going to be privy to a lot of that information, nor should we be. And we're going to hopefully get some updates, and hopefully those updates are positive. I also wanted to give a shout out and support to anybody else who's dealing with advanced lung cancer. I lost my grandpa to lung cancer. I know that a lot of you have lost people to lung cancer. We had a caller earlier whose wife is battling lung cancer right now, and it is not fun having witnessed people go through it. It is an awful thing to fight. It can be beaten. It is one of those that does have a propensity of coming back, and so you always have to kind of monitor it, and we wish the absolute best for everybody fighting it. And, of course, we're keeping Rush Limbaugh in our prayers, and he doesn't talk about his faith a lot on the show. He really doesn't, but he is a deeply devoted man of faith. It's not something that he proselytizes. That's not what his show is about, but it does, reflect in his values that he does put on the show. And I wanted to caution people, because I haven't gone out and looked at what people are saying. I have heard from many people in my audience what other people are saying, and I assumed automatically what people would be saying. And there's a lot of people out there who don't like him very much that are happy, and they're gloating and they're gleeful that somebody is now fighting for their life, because, again, that's the cesspool that we live in today's society. And it's kind of ironic, I think, that I was just talking about this very thing, celebrating the deaths and the illnesses and the attempts on political rivals' lives. We were just talking about this last week. I think it came up twice last week. And at one point, I think I even mentioned that I have no illusions. I know exactly what people are going to say about me should something like that happen, and hoping that my family is strong enough to not look at it and to get through it. And with that said, I know that the instinct is to protect and to defend somebody that you are a fan of, that you've been listening to. I got people on my live stream now. I've been listening to him since the 90s. People have been listening to him longer than that. I know that there's an instinct to defend and protect. I get that. But knowing Rush, he would not want you to do what they're doing. That's not what he's about. And he would not want you to engage in similar type behavior. So, if you respond to any of that, please keep that in mind. Because ultimately, you would be responding on his behalf. So taking in what he would want you to do would be the appropriate thing, and he would not want you to go out there and act in the exact same way as the people who are gleefully gloating that he is battling for his life now. That's not what he would want. And I would just ask kindly that you keep that in perspective if you choose to engage anybody in this type of conversation. And just know that there's going to be people out there who are going to be celebrating that Rush Limbaugh is ill. They're going to be hoping that he dies. They're going to be gleeful if he doesn't look healthy or if he doesn't sound healthy. They're going to be that way because, again, we have a problem with civility because in large part of social media and the divide that we have right now. And I would just hope that you would not descend into that yourself. And with that, we are praying for Rush, for speedy and permanent recovery, as we are praying for everybody who is fighting this horrible illness and a speedy recovery for them as well. You have more coming up on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Casey Hendrickson.
News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
Your breaking news and weather station.
Now, if I die and people say that about me, avenge me.
E-cig works.
Just say. Rush has a different approach. Yeah, lung cancer is a nasty, awful thing. I mean, all cancer is, but lung cancer is, in particular, very, very bad. Thank you, Speed. I appreciate that. Jefficiency? That's a great name. Jeff Efficiency? Jefficiency? That's a good name. Says that they got pitchforks and torches waiting for me. There we go. Huh?
For when you get out of the building.
No, for when I die. Although pitchforks and torches for when I get out of the building, likely possible, especially as I throw away people's business cards for taking over my business card holders.
Remember when you brought your car into that big dealership and found out it would cost a lot to get it repaired? So you brought it into an independent shop and learned you could save some money. Second opinions can save you money in retirement too. Have you taken your retirement plan to an independent advisor for a second opinion? Howard Bailey has helped over 1,000 families craft their retirement roadmap with meaning and purpose so they can spend more time doing the things they love and less time worrying about their financial security. Call 866-482-9559 now and schedule a complimentary visit with our independent team at Howard Bailey. Take control of your financial future. Don't let hidden fees and unnecessary taxes affect your retirement. Call the Howard Bailey team at 866-482-9559 and get a second opinion on your retirement plan. That's 866-482-9559.
Investment advisory services may be offered through Howard Bailey Securities LLC, a registered investment advisor. Past performance is no guarantee of future results.
The following is an attorney and not a paid actor. Tom Wilson of Wilson Law in Elkhart, Indiana.
I think the job of a personal injury attorney is, and there's a number of things we do, but I think the most important thing we can do is walk the client through from day one through the last day of the process. And certainly we're going to get the best results for them, but it's also all the stuff we do leading up to that. helping you deal with each stage of the process. I'm not a doctor. I can't give medical opinions, and I don't do medical opinions, but I can give, hey, you know what, this is what other clients have done that has helped them. The one thing that's forgotten in the law is we're counselors. We're here to help and give advice based on not just the law, but all the things we've seen in our practice. And that's part of what I really try to do is sit down and face-to-face talk to my clients about this is what you need to do to help you through this process.
It's law. This isn't hard. No gimmicks, no catchphrases, just exceptional representation, no personal touch. For more information, text the word Wilson to 45364 today.
Start your next project today and save with 11% off everything. Now at Menards. Stop in the Menards plumbing department and give your bathroom an update with Mansphere. Right now, save on the Denali tall, elongated toilet. It comes complete with everything you need. Pick it up today for just $203.81 after 11% off. Sale prices are good through Saturday, February 8th. Savings are mail and rebate. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Save big money at Menards. What's the difference between a bed from
Well,
and a national brand?
it is almost steak time because I'm hungry.
Our materials and construction are the same as the national brand, but because we're factory direct, we eliminate warehouses and middlemen.
See?
So the Elkhart
A pox of those who speak ill of the house of Hendrickson. There you go. I love it.
Get the most bed from
I would totally dig a shrine. And if you make a statue, make sure it's copper. I don't want any of that bronze crap. All right. Make the mental note. When William dies, I'm that guy. I'll say it.
He's sick.
Stay 95.3 MNC.
Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. I've got to tell you about Natural's CBD lotion. I still get questions every single day. Got some on the live stream today. What's that website again? allnaturalcbd.org. You see, everybody's pushing CBD now. Everybody. And you notice that they're all telling you that full spectrum CBD is the way to go? Because it is. And that's where Natural CBD lotion comes in. It is full spectrum CBD. It is made right here in the United States, grown right here in the United States, tested here, and it is a veteran-owned company. Again, 250, 500 milligrams, or the new, just premiered last week, 1,000 milligram. And again, you can get in lavender unscented. The 1,000 milligram only comes in unscented at this time. Go to allnaturalcbd.org. It is THC-free. You're not going to fail any drug tests or anything like that. This stuff just works on pain, period. If you have arthritis, if you've got fibromyalgia, minor aches and pains, if you work out on a regular basis and you have to deal with muscle soreness, this is a fantastic product. Plus, it's a lotion, which means it will moisturize and soothe your skin, unlike other CBD products. And some CBD products, they can take a couple of months to work. That's not how dermal CBD works. This stuff will work right away. When I use this on my soreness or my neck pain, it's usually within 2 to 3 minutes is when the pain starts subsiding and going away. I've read you letter after letter after letter. I've had people on as testimonials for this product over the past several months. It is a phenomenal product that works. Allnaturalcbd.org. Promo code KC10 to save yourself 10%. Not only are you going to get an effective product, you are going to get a product that comes in a larger bottle than the competition, for a cheaper price than the competition, for a higher concentrate of CBD than the competition. And you get a 10% discount because you're a listener of this show. Go to allnaturalcbd.org, promo code KC10, or you can use that same promo code in any local eSigWorks location. Again, allnaturalcbd.org, promo code KC10. All right, what do we have here? Rochester City Council member charged with multiple child sex crimes. Hoosier pride. Gary Clevenger Jr. was arrested on Friday. He's been charged with multiple child sex crimes. Court documents confirm the 40-year-old has been charged with child solicitation, sexual misconduct with a minor, contributing to the delinquency of a minor under 16, and neglect of a dependent. Horrible. Not a lot of details as of yet. We'll continue to keep you updated on that case. You go to 953msc.com. We'll have more coverage of it, and I'm sure they'll cover it on Michiana's Morning News tomorrow as well. All right, next. So we've got Super Bowl commercials. The Bloomberg Super Bowl ad cited some highly dubious data. Obviously, we told you about the ad beforehand because they were not allowing any pro-gun ads or pro-life ads to run in the Super Bowl, but they did allow anti-gun ads to run. Really, the only ads that ran that you could consider on the political right were Trump's ads. Everything else was very much far left. Even some wokeness in the halftime show that some people have noticed. But again, if you're looking at this, they overstated the statistic when they put it in there that there's 2,900 kids who die from shootings. That's not true. That data includes 18, 19, and in some cases 20-year-olds, which are obviously adults. And obviously it's semantics, if you will, but it clearly misleads you into thinking that kids were killed. I would also like to point out that the individual who was spoken about in that ad, I think they were 20 at the time when they were killed. Don't quote me on that. I'd have to go back and look, but they were older, if you will. They were not a child per se. And so the ad just kind of misleads. Now, with that said, what I thought was interesting is that Trump ran his ad in the Super Bowl. Now, this was the ad featuring Alice Johnson, which is a case that we have documented and covered at great length on this program. This was the clemency case that Kim Kardashian had pitched to the president. She was the one that had that drug offense, or she got life in prison, nonviolent drug offense, that sort of thing. And he gave her clemency, and she got out. And she came out, and what did she do when she got out of prison? She thanked President Trump. That's what she did. And so, they were talking about criminal justice reform and everything else, regardless of where you stand on criminal justice reform. What I thought was pretty interesting about this ad, first of all, it was an extremely effective ad, okay? And those of you who are new to the show, one thing that you're going to learn about me is that I've been in this game for a while, and I really appreciate campaign ads when they're effective by all sides. And you will hear me compliment ads, even ads that I think are inaccurate and I don't agree with, for being effective. Trump's ad was effective, and it was a very good ad. It was well put together. This really happened. You have her own words thanking the president for it. And you've got people out there literally saying that it was a lie. It wasn't a lie. Everything in that ad happened. That ad was absolutely true. But you've got people out there saying that it's a lie, and some no names and some other people who are verified, even though they don't have anything going for them, whatever. And then people saying, oh, it's pandering. Well, yeah, all political ads are pandering, every single one of them. But what I have found so interesting about this is that you are watching people who are absolutely in their own bubble, with their own confirmation bias, their own tribalism. They don't know how to react to a guy that everybody has told them repeatedly 24/7 for 3.5, 4 years now, that this guy is the worst bigot since Hitler, which we know is not true. Worst bigot since Hitler. Wait a minute, what? He's letting black ladies out of prison for disproportionate sentences and things of that nature. Then they're running around and saying this was not a part of criminal justice reform. This was a clemency. First of all, that's semantics. And this was what kicked that off. There were 3,100 people who were released from prison as a result of the president's criminal justice reform. Now, again, you may disagree with that. I'm just telling you the facts of what happened. And if you're going to look at the polling numbers with President Trump and black Americans, his polling numbers since he became president have doubled among that population. Doubled. There's a lot of people in the black community that are not fooled. They are seeing what is happening, and they are appreciative of it. You had several players. You had Kansas City Chief players, happened to be black men, wearing pro-Trump merchandise throughout Super Bowl week. There is some interesting things that are happening. More and more people are willing to speak out and let America know that they're with the president, even though they don't fit the right demographic. But that ad not only was effective, but it was 100% accurate. When people say it's a lie, those people are lying to you. And those stories, you can't hide from the story. I mean, the Alice Johnson story is very, very public. And when people tell you that it didn't happen, oh boy, that's not going to work out very well for them. Anyway, 574-2595, 95.3. We have more coming up. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
This is Michiana's breaking news and weather station. MNC.
I agree, Alex.
It's not clear if Wednesday's auction will mean that Amish Acres and Avenue will continue in the form it has for the last 50 years. Popular tourist attraction provides a glimpse into the life and history of the Amish through historical cabins, farms, and other structures, most of which date back to the 1800s. It also includes the 400-seat Round Barn Theater. Richard Fletcher and other family members built it up to the point that it draws 150,000 visitors each year. They told the South Bend Tribune that keeping it going is a year-round effort and they're all exhausted. MNC News. And it's meth and cocaine charges for an Elkhart man after police stopped him for not turning down his high beams.
An Elkhart police officer was driving south on Sterling Avenue
Get him.
shortly before 1 o'clock in the morning Friday when he saw a vehicle in the oncoming lane.
Screw you people not turning off your high beams. 90% of the time, you have your high beams on when you don't need your damn high beams anyway.
He got out of the vehicle and allowed a search. Officers found a digital scale with white residue and more than $400 in cash.
I mean, how stupid are you? You got dope in the car. Why are you riding around with your high beams on?
A firearm by a seriously violent felon. Darren Wright, MNC News.
You got C, man. Can't see without my brights.
In the Senate impeachment trial of President Trump.
Lead House Manager Adam Schiff.
He has betrayed our national security, and he will do so again. He has compromised our elections, and he will do so again.
President's attorneys say the House failed to show any impeachable offenses by the president. The final vote is expected Wednesday. Voters were gathered throughout Iowa tonight for the state's caucuses. They'll announce their preferred presidential candidates, which will decide how many state delegates each hope gets. A longtime conservative talk show host telling listeners of his Rush Limbaugh show on premier radio networks today that he'll likely be absent for some upcoming shows because of a serious health issue.
I have been diagnosed with cancer.
69-year-old says at this time he's not experiencing any symptoms of the disease. America is listening to Fox News.
Weather sponsored by.
Didn't he say he was having like shortness of breath and stuff? Isn't that a symptom of lung cancer?
Yes. Well, he said that he wasn't really feeling too many of the symptoms, and then he went into, this is what led to it, though. I had some shortness of breath. But as far as the daily symptoms, I guess, is...
Cloudy, 40, some light rain and drizzle on Tuesday as temperatures fall into the upper 20s Tuesday night. Light wintry mix to light snow showers on Wednesday with a high of 32. In the ABC 57 first morning neighborhood weather center meteorologist Tom.
I'm Charles Green, and this is the Fox Business Report.
The major averages closing higher as coronavirus.
Good for you, William.
Capital Management has this assessment of the situation.
That's just it. They use them all the time here, and it drives me nuts. Like, when I would drive home in Niles, there's this like stretch of road, and yeah, it's a little dark, but there's enough ambient light coming off of the residential houses that you don't need them. You're darn right I do. Don't you forget. All right. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't understand why people need the brights. You don't need them. I've got an old car with really crappy lights, and I can see just fine pretty much everywhere. And the way I drive home now, one of the reasons that I got the driving glasses, which I'll be talking about here, is because people use their stupid rights, and these glasses take that glare away.
That's right. Zero copay, no awkward face-to-face conversations to meet your prescription. That's really good news. To start your free online visit, go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/joy. Gas Business can help take your business beyond with amazing solutions and great deals. Gas Business, work fast. Get started today at GasBusiness.com. Hi, this is Dwayne Miller with Good Faith Management, and I buy
Oh, State of the Union is going to be a riot. You kidding me? Welcome back, Tracy.
any condition, any price range, and in any location. I am not a realtor or associated with any realty company. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several homes a month and will buy even more. Call me at 574-294-5678. I buy inherited houses, divorced houses, behind payment houses. I even buy my tenant to pay me their rent houses. You own a house that is trash and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great, because I love buying damaged houses too. I buy vacant houses, abandoned houses, condemned houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 574-294-5678 for a cash offer today.
Chances are you can remember your best decisions. Buying that car, having a child, getting away from the rat race, if only for a little while. Now you can add another decision to that list. Moving to a trilogy.
Yeah, I think the State of the Union should be a conversation in the Oval Office to the American people, not to Congress. It's I don't know, it's become a political stunt. I mean, it always was, but I would just prefer an actual State of the Union address, but that's just me. I mean, it's one thing if you're on a windy, dangerous road or something like that has absolutely zero light. That's one thing, but when you have roads that are they're lit, but they're dimly lit, there's just no reason to have them. It doesn't make any sense.
From the first step to the final phase, industrial and commercial electrical done right. This is Casey Hendrickson.
Good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. I want to thank R&B Car Company, locations in South Bend and Warsaw. R&B Car Company are your used car experts. So Bloomberg got busted doing something else, too. He, once again, used photos of kids in cages from the Obama administration. He did it again during the Super Bowl. And, you know, we were talking about the president deleting tweets because I guess he messed up on where Kansas City was located because Kansas City's technically in 2 states, and he wrote Kansas even though the Chiefs are based in Missouri. Whatever. It's a common mistake. Most of you know I've got a history with Kansas City. So it was interesting because people talk about deleted tweets and stuff. And I had to remind folks that you remember all the members of Congress, Democrats, who had to delete their tweets showing kids in cages because they tried to falsely blame them on President Trump when, in fact, they were from the Obama administration. You still have people doing it. Bloomberg just did it. Dem presidential candidate Mike Bloomberg posted a link to his ad last night bashing President Trump, but at the 13-second mark, it sure looks like he used an AP video footage of illegal immigrants in cages that was taken way back in 2014. Remember, President Trump was not president in 2014. People took screenshots. Of course, the AP article is all over these things with those particular photos. But once again, want to remind everybody that this did not happen under President Trump. And just like with that pastor/worship curator from South Bend who has that silly little song where he lies about the president, you know, these are things that didn't happen under this administration. They happened under previous administrations. This administration has stopped that activity. And then they were only mandated at that point by the courts, you know, so it wasn't even the previous administration's fault. And I've made that crystal clear. The courts mandated that it happen. So anyway, Bloomberg is out there once again using the old photos from 2014, the old video from 2014 in order to bash President Trump, even though it's not accurate at all. I've got to tell you about Southwest Vision Center. First of all, that's where I've been going to get my eyes taken care of, and that's where you should go to get your eyes taken care of too. Whether you're looking at just a routine eye exam, whether you're dealing with dry eyes, which, by the way, largely goes undiagnosed. I have dry eyes. I've been meaning to get it taken care of for years, finally did. They've got me on some supplements. They've got me on some drops, and guess what? Had my follow-up. My eyes are producing better oils now, so my eyes are more lubricated than they were before I started the regimen that I got from Southwest Vision Center, and that's critical because my eyes feel better. They're not perfect, and sometimes they still bother me, but they feel much better than they used to, and so we're taking the steps in a right direction. Of course, they've added something to my routine here recently when I had my follow-up. They also saved my daughter from getting unnecessary glasses after her vision test at school. The school said she needs glasses. Turns out my daughter has 20/20 vision. So, okay. Glad that I didn't listen to the school on that, and I went to professionals at Southwest Vision Center. But the latest thing that I went in for, and for the record, I was in there, and I didn't realize it at the time, but some listeners were in there when I was in there, and they were asking about the discounts. Yes, you get discounts for your vision care at Southwest Vision Center just by mentioning me when you go in, okay? So feel free to do that. Don't in any way, shape, or form not use my name. Just use my name everywhere you go in case you get a discount for it. But I asked them, I said, hey, I have a new route home, and I run into some dark roads. My stigmatism, which is new, I've never had astigmatism before. This is astigmatism, excuse me. This is kind of a new thing for me to deal with. And it's causing some issues with me adjusting at night, which apparently is a common problem, all right? Didn't realize that, because, again, I've never had one before. And I also happen to be on a relatively dark path home where people use their brights all the time. So they use their brights. I can't see anything. It's worse when you have an astigmatism, apparently, at night than if you have normal vision, and you already know how irritating people using their brights when they shouldn't is. So they gave me, I got these prescription glasses, have my prescription in them, which adjusts for the astigmatism, and it has these yellow lenses. And I'm telling you right now, it's a night and day, pun intended, difference in how I'm able to drive and see at night. It's phenomenal. Ask your vision specialist about it. Southwest Vision Center, swvisioncenter.com. Mention me to get great discounts on a whole range of services, swvisioncenter.com. More coming up, 95.3 MNC.
Impressed. Holy mother! Impressed.
We're coming back at 48.
Well, then I'm just closing out the show with a commercial, aren't I? Well, okay then. No, I'll leave that up there. I'll do this. Everybody's trying to get that coveted Casey Hendrickson 530 spot. Should probably charge more for it. Oh, great. We lost our first aid kit, but they found it. Thank God. Good luck, William.
What do you need done on your house? The basement could be found. The kitchen needs something. Your deck is not the way you want it. Or maybe you just want an entirely new room added to your home. That's what we call
Impress is doing a little giveaway, too. Prize package includes a $300 gift card to Impress Jewelry Creations on University Drive. $50 gift card compliments a Twisted String and Elk Arts. and 2 tickets to a reservation for 2 at Lex 530's Valentine's Day wine dinner. And Lex 530 is awesome. That place is cool. So let's see. Yeah, man. That's a whale of a prize package.
In T-27 podcast Sweden.
Wow. Joseph. It's cray-cray, man.
Since 1952, Henry Smith Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling has been proudly serving Michigan.
Well, the Twisted String looks like it might be a chic-y bikerette place. My kind of peeps. Don't know much about them, but I dig. The restaurant is Lex 530. Is it Lex or Lux? Lex. I've done some.
Text the entrance because they can't.
What?
Contest.
That is a good question. Messages don't work. Do contests work?
I doubt it. I think it's all pretty well connected.
That is a very, very good question.
Well,
Well, I will record the commercial. I will do my part, and then I will inform them. Yeah, Lex 530 is awesome. And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in. News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel. I'm your host, Casey Hendrickson. Hey, Valentine's Day is right around the corner, I'm told. 14th or something, right, Joe? Okay. Ladies, I want to tell you about Impress Jewelry Creations. From now until Valentine's Day, you can take 25% off all diamond and colored stone jewelry, including the spectacular Star 129 natural and lab-grown diamonds. Again, that sparkle is second to none. It's the most sparkly diamond you're ever going to have. Again, guys, you got the opportunity to get, I should say for the guys, they have these amazing sterling belts. They're the only ones that do it. They also have elegant and rare leathers for those belts. You can get custom engraving. These are exotic leathers. Absolutely phenomenal. So again, you've got 25% off all diamond and colored stone jewelry, including the Star 129 diamonds. And you've got a bunch of stuff for the guys and the gals over at Impress Jewelry Creations. You've got to visit them in person for the Valentine's Day sale that is happening now. Again, go to ImpressJewelers.com. That's their website. You can learn more about them, get their address. But you can visit their showroom at 1233 University Drive in City Plaza South in Granger. Make sure you let them know that I sent you. Impress this Valentine's Day with Impress Jewelry Creations. 25% off diamonds and precious gemstones right now until Valentine's Day at Impress Jewelry Creations. I would also like to thank everybody for watching the live stream. The live stream has been growing quite a bit the past few weeks, so thank you very much for that. Download the 95.3 MNC app for local news. The audio stream has been repaired, so you can download that for free as well. It's now time for the O'Reilly Update. Swizzle, dizzle, rizzle, fizzle. All right, cool. Actually got that out there. So Lex 530 hasn't been open to the public for all that long. They've been doing like a soft open, doing special events and things like that. And what?
What the hell is wrong with their mics? Why are they so big?
Yeah, those are massive. Holy smokes.
Those are annoyingly large.
Yeah. There's no reason for that.
It's not like
they
can't afford smaller mics.
Well, maybe it's just got a really good noise filter in it because they're in a crowded room, but maybe. So the tech just could make it bulky, but yeah, that's a really thick microphone for a headset mic. All right, so anyway, yeah, Lex 530 has not been open to the public all that much. It is now. But they were doing some special events, some private parties that I was lucky enough to go to. Phenomenal. Absolutely amazing place. Highly recommend it. Was able to have some stogies in their humidor as well. Oh, so nice. All right, any last minute dealios before I get out of here? Doesn't look like it. All right, cool. Okay, so real quick, stream has definitely been growing. I do appreciate that, and thank you to everybody who has already done what they can to spread the word and to show up. Again, I would like to ask, if you haven't done so, please subscribe, hit that like button, and share it. I would really appreciate it. So if you can go ahead and help spread the word, that'd be great. Remember, we don't have an advertising budget for this, so a lot of YouTube channels start off with tons and tons of money to go ahead and push it. That's how they grow. But I end up stuck here. Oh, on that note, Tracy, isn't it interesting that, spring got here early. Last week at this time it was dark outside. Now it's still light. It's just like that. It's like it gets dark almost an hour, I guess a half hour maybe, later. It felt like it was an hour later yesterday. But of course it's been warm today too. Perfect motorcycle weather. Unfortunately, it's still in storage. So, damn it. Really wanted to ride the bike, but soon enough, we're almost there. Last month of the bad weather officially anyway. We'll see what happens. So, again, please subscribe, like, share, comment. All of that would be great. And, yeah, wait till tomorrow. Exactly. And then, of course, on Twitch, you can do the same thing. I'd really appreciate that. And I'm trying to get to the point where I can do more video streaming on video gameplay on Twitch. I'm trying. Every time I go to sit down and do it, I get pulled away and I'm not allowed to do it. So I'm doing my best. I don't have the space that I play games in is directly under the kid's bedroom. So I'd have to do it kind of quiet, and which I can do. It's just not going to be lively or anything like that. But I'm happy to do it. It's just I got to get to a point where I can actually sit down and actually stream. So, all right. Thank you so much for watching. And again, what merchandise? What about merchandise, William? You can buy merchandise. I got the link right there in the stream. Don't I? Or did it get scrubbed out? It might have got scrubbed out. So there's that. You want to do a promo? Bonus content. You get to watch me say things. Casey Hendrickson here will give you the results of the Iowa caucus and what that means going forward to New Hampshire and South Carolina. That's Tuesday, 3 to 6 on 95.3 MNC. Yeah, the way that the ceiling is, I'd have to get creative with that. But it's one of those things that we're going to be doing when we officially own the house. So when we officially own the house, there's going to be some proofing that happens and that sort of stuff. So yeah, that Ted Cruz podcast is friggin' awesome. You got that first 15 minutes with Lindsey Graham from Friday. There's more information about impeachment in that first 15 minutes than you've gotten from the press the entire process. It's that good. Seriously. All right. I'm going to bounce out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Again, I really do appreciate the support. And I do have some new things coming this year. And I'm almost completely set up for all of that. So I'm looking forward to it. All right. Y'all take care. Be safe.